You can see what the title of the afternoon is like. Market
in the chat.
Market is dying. Market is bleeding. Market's in free fall right now. But I was surprised that Apple was that close to green relative to some of these other names. But it's like it's not everybody. Thankfully, Google. I like you, Google. Thank you. You're doing really, really well. And it's actually breaking the highs as we. Don't jinx it. As we speak, Alphabet is trying to take out those highs. So it is one of those types of markets where you've got some strength in there. You had the massive reversal after the CapEx from Meta, where Meta was down and Nvidia was up, and those two reversed amongst each other. Palantir was at 82. Now Palantir is back at 80. Like, it's just, you've had a lot of crazy action. Bitcoin's held up pretty well, everybody, to end the week. But yeah, it should be a wild one. There's actually volatility in this close. I can guarantee you that. Didn't think we'd be shorting Palantir at any point.
We're still $2 in the money on Rigetti. We took that with all of you at 10 o'clock, and we'll talk about that. Reversion. What's up, Obi? And then we were long the NASDAQ here. We were long together all of this, and all of a sudden we broke, and now we go short. And there it goes, man. It broke through that 87 and change, does not hold up here at 22,000. When we see that break down, when we see Nvidia break down, when we see them break these walls down, we go down with it. So that was a nice play there for the TQQs, putting it right back in the pocket. But look at this Rigetti. We still have on 7.5% of this trade as it just bleeds back in for RGTI. So again, kind of a big trade there for me, right off the open. Not off the open, it was 11 o'clock, but it was off that first little fade. So we have, pretty much that high right there back in on RGTI. So far, so good. Yeah, and then short the futures, and then, FXI. We're long right here. That's 957. So we took that all together. It does go upside. I mean, we were getting out at the pre-market highs. We did pretty good holding this. Again, remember, this was about our stop was through 80 as we wrote it down here. If you want to find all these trades, we talked about most of them. But our stop here was 11 cents. So now we're in the money here, 31 plus cents, with our best out about 40 right there. So nice little 4-to-1 banger. Nice upside on FXI. But yeah, the NASDAQ, and we, again, welcome everybody. I hope you guys are having, just an absolutely great afternoon, great day, great week of trade. See? There we go. There was that break. And we talked about this again earlier on this morning. Watch out for that little move. That's 22,000. We went short, and this is why I'm starting to get out right now, because we are finally starting to see maybe a little bit of a bid coming through. I want to thank you to our friends at eSignal for that chart. But look at all these. We let it fall. Let the pain come into the name, and it does do that on the NASDAQ. So we'll put a bid here at 27s, see if we get a fill. Hopefully we do, and then we'll let the rest rock down. There it is, back down into the downside. So hopefully another big trade coming here on the market. So we'll figure it out. But Neil, it's been a very, very fun morning and into the midday for sure. Thanks to Sharif and Joe with a big show.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and now we're going to go over and figure out what you guys want to talk about if and when we're ready. Go ahead, yeah. Go to Neil.
No, just quickly. There was just news on Paramount. What is it with news? This is what AMD did earlier.
It's AMD.
Paramount had some news just now about another offer, and it goes up and it gives it right back. No, AMD had an integration story. Wow, Paramount right back in. It's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing we didn't get right to that. Sometimes you get that pop-up. Come to my chart for a second. This is what Paramount just did. Sometimes the algos punch long, and they just get moked. AMD had the same thing. I actually played it the other, like AMD, here's your volume candle, integration of, I forget the name of the product. You can go look it up. DeepSeek. Goes into VWAP, immediately reverses it, and then flat bottom breaks. And Paramount just literally did the same thing, where the algos go long, and it's that kind of a day where the sellers are like, really? Yeah, no, we're going the other way. So I almost feel like if you find some things that they pop, maybe some mean reversion is going to be in play. But yeah, the market continues to go. Cancel the Palantir. It's up. Palantir's still up, but it's looking like a topping tail candle at that 80 level. for sure. Nvidia just made another fresh low. Right. You were saying Apple was still green. What is, oh no, was close and was actually closer to green than the rest. The question is, where is the bottom break on Apple? Still another $1 away, I think, for AAPL. Yeah, there's a lot to get to. These futures are not really holding up. Every time we get a little bit of a bounce, they just keep on flushing. Well, I have my eyes on, there's a small cap that go EV still. I mean, and then PRFX as well. So
you know, we're over 120 handles in the money right here. So look, guys, I'm trying to show you we're trading the Qs, that's the futures, and we're also trading Rigetti. That's a low cap gapper that's absolutely running. We're also trading an ETF right here with FXI. So we're all over the place, and then just trying to show you sort of the versatility. I hope you guys are all enjoying everything. What's up, Sharif?
Welcome, everyone, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The big boys locked and loaded. They're already in their positions, and they're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So join Joseph and I during the How to Trade show during the midday and get into the chat, but you can only chat if you're a subscriber, and make sure you vote as well. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let's look at the four major averages already. Everything in negative territory, with the NQ leading the way down 0.8%. Last time I looked, this is the look at the Qs right now. Looking at taking those levels that we've been using as support, very close to that. We have the ES also down 0.42, and the Dow and the Russ both down 1/3% right now. So we'll keep an eye on the major averages. Let's start with the first ticker, though, as decided by you guys. Nvidia. Wow, look at that move down after going green in the pre-market on the back of news that Meta was going to invest about $60 billion, give or take, into AI. Expected to be the benefactor is Nvidia. The majority of that spending didn't matter, though. Texas Instruments, and the soft guidance had chips weak all day, guys. Very few chips actually green on the day.
Did we talk about Texas Instruments? I kind of feel like we didn't talk about Texas Instruments. I can't remember why there was no discussion of Texas Instruments today. But
Adair hates Texas Instruments.
No, it was it's just that we're just messing around. We just had some fun this morning about that.
I got you, Adair.
It was a busy morning.
It's content.
But you had to pick and choose what was going to move today. And I think obviously the second that news hit for Meta, because it was Mark Zuckerberg announcing the capex spend on Meta. You got a massive bump up in Nvidia. It tried to hold. It was massive. I mean, it was like $4 move. Volumes came back in the other way. It initially did hold the breakout right away, and it's like, you end the day. If I ended my day on Nvidia, there it would have been great, because we basically had the one bounce that worked off of the 146, but I tried it back here. Sorry, 146.5. This is the 146, which I played again, and then another mean reversion. So that's where we end up red on Nvidia. Essentially, those two shots there. Nvidia is not the worst, but again, sometimes you want to be able to get out of it after that one shot, and then you fail lower high VWAP. It's not an all-time high fail, but it is very, very close to a fail at the all-time high. Reversal candle, but I still am kind of constructive about the 50-period moving average. Ultimately, it's still a good story. I think it bodes well, certainly for them to continue that growth, which has been pretty spectacular, although slowing in the last few quarters for Nvidia. Shadow, thank you, Orion, for the super chat. We appreciate you. Orion Khan with the first super chat. Yeah. Appreciate you right there, Orion. Let's have a fun one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Orion. Oren, it is.
Was it Oren?
Yeah.
Oh, Oren.
All right, what's up, Oren? Thank you so much for that. Look, Nvidia will be the #1 P&L name here on the show, despite me holding on to. Actually, Rigetti will take it, but the Qs, we'll see where that's going. But right there, and it's just what we talk about, man. Stay disciplined, stay real, and be the best trader you could be. Is that motivating enough? 147 break up to 149, good. Reload it, good. Get out, leave it alone. It's dying right now. We're short the market. And yeah, there goes Nvidia. As soon as it broke that 144, it was see you later, alligator. And that was it right there. Nice little break of that 144, and bye-bye. We chose violence with the futures, and it's paying off right now. So without Nvidia, this market doesn't have a chance. Nvidia to the downside right now. Looks like it wants to keep going, so we're staying short the market. And oh, hell yeah, are we staying short the market. Big time movements to the downside right now. Really, really loving everything today. We've got on the red hat. here has nothing to do with the red market, but you can see the market is starting to, creep a little bit lower here, and it's obviously off some weakness here in the chip space. So that's my little story there on Nvidia. It's your P&L number one.
From the weakest Mag 7 name now to the strongest Magnificent 7 name, Meta up 1 1/3, making all-time highs today, breaching that $650 area. It went red in the pre-market, believe it or not, on the back of this headline that Mark Zuckerberg plans on spending about $60 to $65 billion to grow its AI team this year. Additionally, U.S. President Donald Trump criticized, okay, that's a different headline there, but guys, Meta off the highs now, coming back in to about $644.
Yeah, Meta was a beast off of those lows. It was actually before the open when it made the bounce. So if you're waiting for like the opening range to come in there on Meta, it had already given you, like it broke down to 624, it came right back to the all-time high because like if you go back over here, like the all-time high was just chilling in the mid 600s, 630s. And by the time you got to the open, it essentially was already giving you that look. By that point, you pick and choose, moved on over to Nvidia, which it is what it is. That ended up how it was. I was initially looking for a clean breakout of that level, and it changed everything. But this is about as bullish as it gets for Meta here. I think you get a bit of an all systems go. If the market is saying, okay, you're going to spend, we believe you if we're going to close at all-time highs on Meta. On a day where the market's bleeding, Meta wants to close at an all-time high, despite the fact there was some news that previously used to concern people with Meta. But I think the fact that the spending is going into the right place is ultimately good here for Meta. So, this is one of those stocks that we're, happy to have bought semi-recently, not in the last week or so, but yeah, Meta all-time highs. It's Meta and Google that look good, and everything else in the market today, a little sus.
All right, so I'm going to, start to cover just maybe a little bit more. We already did our sort of work there to show you the bottom potential in the Qs, and we might have just made it in the NASDAQ. So just pay attention if you're trading futures right now. We did get some suggestions. Someone asked me there in the chat. Look, I appreciate you, Dinesh, and everybody in there talking about some of the trades that I've been able to put on over the last 4 years. All right, so I'm getting some more out here on the TQs. Look, the big thing here for Google, I know you want to talk about Meta. I like Meta all-time highs. We chose Nvidia to trade that. Obviously, like Neil mentioned there, you could have chose Meta. We didn't. I don't. Did you trade Meta? No, you didn't trade Meta.
No, I canceled orders on Meta that I had when the news came out. So
so that's what I was going to say. So not much action there. But this Google, as Neil just highlighted, it's breaking right now. This is a big one. The two largest positions that I have right now are Google and Nvidia. So we're pretty happy with it. But its all-time high is 202.29. So you got to wait out for 202.29. When that breaks, I think is when you want to look for this. But if you're playing something for into the close, yeah, I would say that this has it up 1%, down. I'm playing red names today. I'm going to be looking short. I'm not looking long. But if you were, I think a pullback. If this somehow loses the 50, I still think you can buy it here at VWAP. So it's like 199.40, 199.50. This little area right there. But just like we did on Rigetti, Rigetti is a $2 winner. Like Rigetti, we're in the money now. Like this is $2 on 15 or on 16. This is a nice win. But you got to always, we talked about this with Chef Joe. Thank you, Chef Joe, by the way. Great guest last night on the recap show. And I want to thank you for making that one of the better ones that we've had recently. I love having some of our viewers on. That was fantastic. But right down there into 1360, like this is where we need to think about covering here on Rigetti. We have, imagine looking at this chart and somehow saying, well, if I was short up here, that is where we're short. So it's like we've already covered into the 200 period. We covered at the 50, and now you zoom out and you see that you might have some bouncing spots right here. So let's start to cover a little bit more on Rigetti, and that would be that. So Google, we just talked about 200. Let's go get the story, and then maybe we can look at it one more time. But Tesla and China, some big things coming later. Check out the FXI trade below.
Yeah, not much of a headline today, Sean, on Google, just really working its way up there above that $200 level right now. Davidson maintaining neutral on Alphabet. Google obviously raising the price target from 190 bucks to 200. It's already above that right now, guys. Good day for Google as it recovers off yesterday's sell-off.
I'm kind of curious. The B/O Google 200 breakout. Okay. No, that makes that actually makes some sense. No, it could mean It could mean a lot of things. No, but as Sean mentioned, 200's a round number, and the actual top, the all-time high is 0229, and then the actual high for the last 3 days is resistance at like 220, like 35 or so. So you have some overhead here on Alphabet, which isn't quite an even dollar breakout trend. Like sometimes, yeah, it's all about the even dollar, other times not. This market is not looking very strong. On a weak market, punching at the high on anything, I don't really like at all. I do, like, again, I love what Google is doing here, much like Meta, where the fact that you're able to be at the highs on a day where the market's not doing very well, I think that's a good sign. But I'm not looking to punch any highs in here. If we do get some kind of maybe you can dip and hold a prior support and you get a tight stop risk to not have to buy literally the highs in front of the week's highs, that'd be a little different on Alphabet. But I think it's an all systems go for them and Meta. You know, they kind of got the clear sailing today. Unlike, we don't really have another opportunity to talk about Apple, so I'm just going to throw them in there because we just went Meta, Google, Nvidia, and that's 3 Mag 7 names. Like, well, unlike Apple, which was very much like Meta, like you take all of the little bit of shelves here. There were a couple of chances where it did give you some bounces, but just stair step to the downside. And remember, Apple's a name which is at the 200 period moving average. So for anybody out there that's like, oh, we missed the first time that it bounced off the 200 period moving average, well, here's your shot again, if you like Apple.
All right, so the Google 200 back off. I think that's what it meant. You know, back off. It's
that makes
200.
Yeah,
stand back. All right, so yeah, is it breaking out? Yes. I mean, it's exactly right. It looks like it's breaking through $200 now. We say finally to that one, so we go bang, 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 and hit the sirens and try to encourage it to go up just a little bit more. We're not in it. It wasn't on my radar today, to be honest with you. I'm happy, obviously, with the stocks that we've chosen to trade today, you know, being, you can see what's happening. But yeah, good breakout, good level. I think you could go long, but I've already told you my piece. We're short the market, man. We're over 130 handles in the money right now. And I just don't want to, like, I want to sort of cheer and watch out for this short. But if we do get a bounce, I'd almost rather reverse the position here in the futures and then go the other way as far as Google, right? And so if we're going to reverse out, I'd rather find out if we're going to bounce here, maybe break long in the futures rather than Google. But this one has the juice. Still thinking red. Hard to go long on this. But yeah, 1.1%. Hey, man, next week, this thing moons for sure. So great call on that. Probably 210 next Wednesday. Sharif.
Sean, Model Y, new Juniper released today. Well, the pre-orders today released previously in Asia, China, and some other Asian markets already could order the Model Y. And didn't really move the needle today for Tesla, guys, down 1%. Despite this good-looking car, I mean, I don't know, I'm a fan. And this individual, oh, come on. It's like the only part of the video where this dude's talking and it happened to be there when I turned it on. So sorry, guys, a little anticlimactic. Wanted to show you the new Model Y.
So we don't really have a producer.
What a handsome gentleman that dude was.
Back and forth and does this also. Shout out to Sharif for attempting
there's an
that.
Like he looks like an actor that I don't know.
There it is.
There we go. There it is. That's better.
Nice. Yeah, it looks pretty attractive there. I mean, I like a little more sleek. You know, this guy's like a walking Model Y. Like he's got white on top. He's got the black pants. He's like this guy's.
He put some thought into it.
This guy's all about it right here. Who is this guy?
The kicks don't match, but that's
yeah. He's got some brown shoes on there. All right. Now, so Tesla today. This is funny. Right now. Yeah, exactly, Remy. This is what I'm trying to say. All right, so look, Tesla, despite it looking like this is the best part about it. This is P&L number 2 for the show today. And it's just because we were able to buy it and sell it, we got stopped out. Buy it and sell it and stopped out. The best part about all these stop outs are they're nowhere near the amounts that we took on the upside. So that's Tesla today. It's falling back down. The market's going to have a problem down here. As we just said, it might be bouncing. I'm going to exit a little bit more here on the TQs. Maybe Tesla finds a base here in and around 405 or something. So I don't know. This could be. Maybe Tesla's one of the ones to get blasted back to the upside here. All right, maybe Tesla or the futures. We'll have some more looks. I just punched out more here on the TQs as we try to break a little bit above. So we are watching out for this futures play. We said that we'd have to be careful if it broke back above. For me, it's the 50-period moving average, 86.50, and we're out of the Qs, and we'll rethink about reloading and maybe even going long. But Tesla, P&L number 2 here today, well traded. I don't know if you did it or not, but it's a positive stock for me.
Didn't trade Tesla today, but let's talk a little bit about a crypto name. Hive Digital Technologies. That is HIVE over there on the NASDAQ, and they're pioneering the digital transformation through sustainable AI solutions and Bitcoin mining. A global leader in cutting-edge data center operations with over 2,700 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Hive consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash and is redefining the future by powering the world's most transformative technologies with efficient green and clean energy. Learn more by following them at Hive Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com and sign up for the Hive newsletter for updates. Scan the QR code you see in front of you, and shout out to our friends over at Hive Digital. And, ooh, I like that one. I knew you were going to post it that way. No, you don't have to apologize for it. Sharif, you're staying on brand, as you always do there. Before we go to Sharif, Johnny Bravo, thank you for the super chat there. Thoughts on going along with Hive? Great show, by the way. Well, crypto's up today. Crypto's up today. Bitcoin's up today. I don't want to speak for I don't want to speak for the entire market. Bitcoin is having a pretty solid day today, so I would suspect, I'll get to GoEV in a second. Well, I would suspect that Hive should be doing. Is it doing okay? Yeah, it's actually, it's more just holding on. It's holding on to the bid more than anything else. So not necessarily ripping it off. It's like 2.5% to the upside. So it's not ripping any faces off, but still an update for Hive. And look, I didn't know pulling it up. It could have been down for all I know when I checked it, but they are having at least a decent day in here. A couple of points into a negative market. But let's talk about China. I'm not saying it the other way.
All right, guys, last on the list here, FXI, China in focus after Donald Trump says President Xi called him. And the relationship between the China is very good, and hopefully China can help end the war in Europe, guys. But this is what kind of want to bring your attention to. This gap up here on FXI, we know that the Chinese ADRs have a propensity to gap up. Oftentimes, though, they're filled. This one actually made new highs, guys.
Thank you, Sharif. Yeah, I mean, we haven't wrote down FXI here in probably months. And all of a sudden today, I came in, we looked at the chart, we found some FXI, and there it is right there, 30.80 long, up to 30.80 to 31. So we had our area of concern there. So we're bidding in those 20-cent areas. So let's go have a look now here what happened with FXI. So again, oops, that's still TQQs. As we got some out there, we put our stop in. Remember where we're getting stopped out of that play. But there it is, man. We've got the bottom. It came right back in. We got those 90s as we had written down. So it turned out to be a good spot to get those. It was the low of the day. You can't ever predict those things, but there it is. And we talked the other day or yesterday with Adara about getting wicked out of trades. Well, this one, we just sat there, took the price we wanted, just like we do with our stop orders, came back in, got it out on the halfway mark there, the pre-market high there, I don't know, 20 pennies or so, and then we just hit it right back in right now, got some more out, and then just now at that top 31.30. So look, I like it. I like the fact that we were breaking higher. I'm trying to make trading great again and trying to make it so simple for everybody. So I think we did that here with this trade, and FXI made sense to me off the 200. Good positive news, like the stock. It's FXI. It's another winner. Yeah, Google's a great trade too. But there goes FXI, man. Neil, another one. This is actually going to be P&L number 4 for the show here today, FXI.
Yeah, great one for sure. No questions about it. I actually have BABA has finally closed above the 50-period moving average. So in my PA, I'm already in Alibaba. We've mentioned this before, so it is what it is. But waiting for Alibaba to make, knock on wood, the close above that 50-period moving average, and then just going to buy it up there. I did put a trail in on Palantir. I'll get that in a quick second, so I'm jumping out. Looks like it bottomed at the $79 level after that 80 break. But I like BABA to be able to at least make a bit of a run and try to get back into this 92 to 93 zone. It's been, like, ever since it broke, you can see it's just lower highs, lower lows. It finally broke trend, and now you're, like I said, above that 50 period. So I think it's the go zone for us on BABA. Maybe it's the start of something. We've seen it before. It got to 120, but I don't know if it has that much room in it this time. I think playing into 95, then 100 will be the first look, and then we'll go from there. And just to go back over to Palantir, look, Palantir, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, but that doesn't even do it justice. Like if you, like that's just, just last week. Go back 2 weeks ago, since the 13th, and that $64, it's every single day. It was just stair step, stair step, stair step. Today, it broke out the 80 level, it broke back down the 80 level, and now all of a sudden, it's trying to bounce off 79. So simple, this one was just a flat bottom break, but it's still trend out. So there's your trend from VWAP. The second it broke trend, trail the rest of it out. I'd like to think if we get back to the $80 level, that should be a bit of resistance. So 80 prior resistance that broke out early, turned into some support. Second it double bottomed, we got out of that trade. And then I was asked if I'm going to still trade GoEV. I mean, ideally it'll set up again. I've been shorting it at 65. More early in the morning when it was parabolic, I was shorting pullbacks, but then I just started shorting the 65 level underneath VWAP. It did one last push, 65 to 60, did that a few times. Then it broke out. I'd like it to maybe break up, give me a shot to short at 65 again. Otherwise, as you can see, like it's got a bit of a flat bottom at 58 cents here on GoEV. So the story was earlier they're going under, right? But sometimes you get a little bit of a bounce when that's the case. So 58 cents would be a flat bottom break. 65 and in front of VWAP is where I'd look to short the pop. When the volume dries up, generally want to look for that under VWAP short trades. Let's see how far Palantir can get. I'm not completely convinced it'll be all that far. And then the other one I'm looking for a pop in to fade would be if we can get Apple anywhere from 223 into VWAP. I think that's a spot. You know, I know they're not doing that bad, but I mean, it's pretty much a stair step down. Percentage-wise, they're not doing that bad is what I mean. They are having a bad day, but I want to short the next pop here on AAPL.
All right, yeah, I mean, I think exactly. I'm just kind of the same way here. We did get stopped out of the TQQs, so, and we actually see now that it stopped out. Tesla still, we still made more money, though, on Tesla than the TQs. We did wind up, like, we got stopped out, so that was a winner there. We averaged in, we got stopped out here, and then went short. So this last trade would have been a loser, or else this would have been, you know, much, much bigger. But there's the stop out. We said on the 50-period moving average, we'd stop out, so there's the break. And you guys, like, this is like a waterfall. So it finally breaks the 50 period right here. I am thinking of potentially going long now into the market. But again, I don't want to get like changed up too much. We wanted the short. I still think the short is pretty good. It's just, it did take that level and in not, I mean, maybe I should have got out of half of what I had left. Maybe that's what it was. Ramin's going to like this one because back by popular demand tonight, I have invited the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Chris Brecher will be joining us tonight on the market there it is, yes sir, on the market recap show. He was on with us. Well, he's always on with us, but he's taking a break there. He's been I had him last week. Yeah, and it went really well. So I reached out. So he'll be joining us tonight. So if there's any questions for Chris Brecher, myself, or Adara, will be on there tonight. Okay, man, it is a spaghetti kind of a day. We'll say, oh, Canada, all that nonsense talk there about what's happening with us. But there goes Rigetti right there. Nice trade to the downside. It's still going lower, guys. A bunch of outs over here. You know, this is going to be a big stock, right? It's going to be Nvidia 1 for me, Rigetti 2, Qs 3, Tesla 3, Qs 4. And so those are all positive names. And then the worst name here for me today is going to be Apple. Again, it's always just catching these damn falling knives. I just got to stop. So that's a loser. Oh, FXI too. So these are the winners we have today. FXI, 1. Nvidia, right? That's 2. Rigetti, right here. I'm just showing you the trades. 3 trades there. TQs. This is the one that I'm actually most proud of because we were long and then flipped. I mean, the Rigetti one's pretty good, but long and then flipped into the short. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 win. That's 3 for 3. Then the Q's 4s. Then Tesla's 5. So that's 5 names that we've traded. Now let's flip it around. All right. So the red stocks that we have Affirm. So Affirm cost me, how much I lost on that is just about as much as this Cortado cost. So we make some money on Affirm, then we get out of the rest. That was a half out, and there we explain that live. And the only other one that we have red over here is Apple. So this one red by a lot, but there goes Apple to the downside. So that's it. So we'll go 5 wins, 2 losses on the day there for Apple, and just trying to. I kind of wish we were still short, and I'm thinking that we'll probably go short in and around there. So that's what we're doing, man, today, 5 and 2. So not bad coming in, but again, it's always about share size, making the right plays. All right, Palantir actually, FXI is a great trade. So, all right, so Palantir's coming in right now, right into 79. So this was what goes up must come down, I guess. Right into zeros again for PLTR, $79 coming into play right there on
Still
Palantir.
up. Let me do the quick math. 21% from last week's lows. Something like that. No, you know what? It's crazy. There's a bunch of things that pulled back recently that were absolutely flying. I'd be remiss not to mention nuclear name, GEV. This stock, we were talking about this yesterday. I forget who it was that slapped a downgrade on this stock. And I casually mocked them for slapping a downgrade. It's easy when a stock goes ridiculously parabolic to be like, oh my goodness, the valuation's out of control. But whomever it was that slapped a downgrade on GEV, they probably picked the right time to do it because it had just gone after earnings into some fresh highs. It was this and Constellation, both names that I liked, had flat bottom. Whoops. I said flat bottom broke, which they didn't because GEOV did. No, I mean the CEG, Vistra also pulled back a little bit. I don't love the fact that Vernova, I should say, pulled back heavily, 5%. This is the one of the 3, of course, it's the one I own in my personal account. That said, I own the stock, but I have never actually bought the stock, which isn't really that complex. I'm sure you guys can all figure out how that happened because I own GE for a ridiculously long time. And in the spinoff, hey, I got some fun with GE Healthcare and then GE Verona. So aerospace, healthcare. I sold the healthcare right away, but kept the other 2. I should check to see how that decision is going. Probably not that good. As long as I didn't put it into UNH, I think it would be fine.
Yeah. UNH, yeah. I mean, now I think UNH is going to be okay over here.
That's a fair point. I actually think UNH is probably looking a lot better.
All right, we're long Palantir. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I like UNH. Dara likes UNH a little bit there as well. Was one of her picks. Wasn't that one of your picks, UNH, I think, maybe? Yeah. Okay, so we're long right now, Palantir. We thought we would try this one here. We zoomed this out. It's right here at this 200 period. But I don't, that 200 period's a little lower, man. This is at like 78.70. So if we break below, I was just thinking even right here, 78.90, basically the low of the day. If we break below 78.90, let's get out of Palantir. So that will be something there. We're only long at O's right now, but, to be honest with you, if that's going to be, okay, here, let's get out of 5% right now if we can. And then we'll get another 5%. So there, we'll offer some there for 07s or 08s. 07s, actually, that's not even that good. We'll see if we can just get there, pay some fees right there with getting out of 5% for the dub, and then we'll see if it can go a little bit higher. There it goes. Okay, here we go. So there goes Palantir. Now it's in the money 10 cents. We'll get another 5% right here, and there it goes. We get it out at 11, actually. Now it starts to bump up. Here we go, Palantir. We're long this name. We just talked about it, so we're back in it. Well, not back in it for the first time at $79. I think there's a chance. That is The 50 period right there. Again, we're getting out if it breaks below. Here it comes right back in again. See, so the futures are doing this dance again, where we already made that move where we broke the 50 and then just got slammed right back down again. So that's going to be like a problem, and I feel like just because what Neil said there too, it's up so much over the last week and a half that, if you're raising capital or something like that, this could be something. Like if I told you 2 weeks ago, and this name's at 66, that today on the 24th we'd be at $79, there could be some selling coming into the name. But we're not going to treat it any differently. Our stop is still where it is right now. If there's selling coming into the name, I mean, it looks like it's already been here. So go away, sellers, and come back in May. So then we'll see where we can be from there. So that's a 50-period moving average. Let's get some more out if we get into the 25 area here, make that quarter point, and then we'll go from there. But so far, not really so good here as Palantir just trying to get off the schneid a little bit here. But
those Apple
again, yeah. So the day's been going pretty good. You're gonna get back into Apple there. You're in Go EV. How's that been going?
Well, it's not going bankrupt yet. But it just broke to 58. Like I said, this happened with Revlon, I don't know, whatever. Bed Bath & Beyond did this, where the time that you announce things are going bad, you actually get a bounce. It went parabolic this morning. And it's just been, ever since this 80 break fail, it's been holding underneath VWAP. There's been a couple of times it's like gotten above VWAP, and then you just try to get back in. I thought maybe there'd be one more shot at the 65, but if it gets back to 50 cents, right here at 10:30. You can see the first move at the open, first pullback was into like 50 cents. And that's this range. You can actually see the candle. There's 58 cents up top, and there was like 50 cents at the bottom. So I think that's the move right now. We break back above like 58.5, jump out of the trade, in at like 57.8, which is, I don't know the thing about it. Like in at 57.8 and stop at 58.3. So think of it like if it was like, you're short at $57.80 and you're out as, just move the decimals over. So risking like that 0.5, right? And then the move is in here. So think of it in that regard. Big pain in the butt is relearning some of the gateways. There's so many different, there's very few gateways in the penny stocks that you don't pay a fee for. So one of the things when you're getting back into it is realizing, okay, well, if you post on this one, you get a small rebate. You post on that one, you're actually paying a fee. So getting back into that swing of things, because I haven't really traded these in a while in the same fashion. There was a name I wanted to go over. We'll get to Nvidia in a quick little second. It was actually, I wanted to talk about Boeing futures here for a sec. Because I know this morning we were saying, hey, it's not so bad with Boeing when they report bad news and things don't fall apart. That said, they kind of fell apart at $180 today. The market came back down. There's some sellers in here at the 180 level. So I'm a little bit, I don't want to say that I'm concerned about it today, because I think the chances of it breaking this 173 are relatively slim this afternoon. But if we lose that 173 on Monday, I could see myself being short-term bearish on Boeing. I know I've said I think I'm feeling like the bottom's in with Boeing. I sold a bunch of my personal account and was down to like 20%, and then I added back in, so about like 50% of what I would consider full position on Boeing when it held the 200-period moving average. I don't care about that yet, but the day trade, if it loses 173 next week, is a totally different story. You got back to red today after what looked like a strong morning. And the story, of course, is they're bleeding money because that's what they do.
Boeing. I mean, look, I think that's just a story of, do your research, pick the right levels. I mean, and then if you believe in it long term, hold on to a piece. I mean, we talked about that. I haven't sold Palantir in a minute in my account, and I'm thinking that we probably might want to get something out. I'm going to get something out more at 09 right here as we just tested the bottoms again. All right, we did not reload. I came close to reloading that, by the way, on Mr. Palantir, but Mr. Palantir is a friend of mine. All right, so that's Palantir. Now, let's just keep on going. We just got some out there at 09, so not a bad play there for us on PLTR. Let's just hope that it starts to go upside. We're only out of 10%. So we do have our next offer at 13s, which never filled us. I thought it did, but it did not. Then we're going to wait for 30s, and then that's that for PLTR. Let's check it back on Netflix. What sort of started this whole thing for the whole basically the tech sector. One of the very first names that brought to our attention this earnings season was Netflix. We did have Texas Instruments, and we can have a look at Texas Instruments in a couple minutes here as well. But Netflix, again, huge move up there on earnings. You guys asked about it. I liked sort of the setup there before earnings, even though we were under the 50 period, but we had bounced off this 820 and had a couple decent moves into it. Then all of a sudden exploded to the upside. It didn't have too much carry forward, right? It went up to 1,000 and then fell right back down again. But for right now, we'll look at Netflix and say, hey, still down that 1%. I think this is a downside move. It just came in through eSignal. So here's my eSignal alert scanner that I use all the time. There's Netflix right there coming back in on the scanner. Most likely rate coming back right from in here, hitting the 50 period moving average.
Actually,
so,
can you pull that back down again?
Yeah.
One of the, and this is just ad hoc right now, one of the values of a scanner, for most people, it's like, oh, it gets to a key price level. Maybe I want to trade it at that level.
Right.
The other thing you can do with a scanner, and I have a real world example that just happened here, that you can do with a scanner is, let's just say you want to be long or short at a key price level the stock is not trading close to. Well, you don't necessarily want the fill to be the reason why you notice that it's at that price. Sometimes you want to get notified as it gets close to the price level that you want to execute at. That way you can pull it up, be like, do I still want to offer this or bid this? And I only say that because I just got in and out of stock very, very quickly when I realized the order that I wanted, it doesn't really matter. Like, this is probably a stock no one's going to trade. But I wanted this in the morning. I'm like, yeah, if I can get something spiking up in the pre-market, the stock will do this at the open and then flush every now and then. And I was looking at something like that off of this high. But I didn't cancel the order. I left it all day long. And so my notification for the fill was getting filled and punching out for a 1 cent hit. Now, not that it really matters, but just a real world example of something you can do with alerts. It's not just about, of course, it'll probably come down now. It's not just about whether, you know, you want to sit there and trade a stock when it gets to that level, or maybe get alerted to it or take a breakout. Maybe you're resting an order here at VWAP. And you want to know before it gets there so that you're not just getting run over with it. And so I think that's always going to be important. Let's go to Adara. Apple is trying to make a little bit of a curl off this lower high. So let's go to Adara. I'm going to look to get in if we close this underneath 222.80 on the 3-minute. Adara?
That's actually great timing, speaking of Apple, because here is a look here at Mac revenue over the years. It is exactly 41 years since the launch there of the official Mac, or the original Mac there, on January 24th, 1984. So 41 years into the Mac. This graphic here on TTV Research on X, I dropped the link in the chat. I'm going to give you a history of some of its developments contextualized with what was happening with Apple in 2011 here. We had Tim Cook, I'm going to have to replace it there, stepping in as CEO instead of Steve Jobs. We also had Apple announcing its M1 chip and the iMac with Apple Silicon. So lots of developments here. I will actually be reposting this because Tim Cook and not Steve Jobs, but regardless here, definitely check that out on X once that is reposted, guys.
All right, and then there it goes, man. We'll flush it down the toilet because Palantir didn't hold. So tried it at $79. I mean, this is what, honestly, this is what we're here for, is to try some of these plays. There it did not work. I should have just... Whatever, man. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but we talked about like trying to maybe stay with that short there. The short's still kind of working, but at the same time, it's trying to bounce. I guess we might have just picked the wrong name, because if we were in the futures, we would still sort of be alive right now. Palantir going red, that might be the problem. Do we, again, remember the biggest loss today is Apple, and that was because we just kept on trying to, we didn't keep on trying. We did keep on trying to go long. We made the cuts pretty small, but after a while, they start to like bleed, you know? And it's like, you don't want to make a mistake doing one thing. And, okay, but Palantir, what kind of volume was that? Okay, it was a big one, but it wasn't a huge one. What was that low there? Yeah, see, I don't want to, but now the futures are trying to go. I think maybe we'll just buy some futures and see, because for some reason, Palantir is not giving me those feels. But futures aren't really moving either. All right, it's 246. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for doing all that. The show's not going anywhere. I'm not talking like we're ending. It's just, I don't know if I want to commit to anything right this second, right now, as far as these stocks are concerned. Our FXI, by the way, is like mooning right now. I mean, I don't, as the U.S. market tries to battle back, FXI is making that move backside. Okay, I feel like right now, Rigetti's a monster, by the way. That's now 250 in the money. And really, that's starting to be like the chicken dinner winner of the day for me here. Rigetti's probably going to take over P&L number 1. It's not that far away now from taking out Nvidia for that title right here for me. So there goes Rigetti, now 250 in the money. It just bounced off the 50 period and came all the way back in. That's probably a good out now for RGTI. Palantir's right back to 78.95, so that could be a play as well. All right, punch out of, oh, there it is. Okay, well, we didn't even have to punch out. We put a bid out there, get filled at 45 on RGTI. Let's see where it goes, but it's so far so good here. Rigetti trying, guys, to go lower, and we'll just sit there, help it out, get some pieces out, because we're right back to some possible support levels on Rigetti. That's about it. All right, Palantir's still there, and futures are still here as well. So, all right, not much happening. We may try a long in TQQs.
Yeah, I did get Apple. It's right here at that 222.80 level that we were talking about. We got a super chat here from Bill Pruitt. This is like the third time this week, and shout out to you. Third time this week that I've heard, well, not heard, that we've seen people asking specifically about Tempest AI. And weak fundamentals, 17.4% short float, Pelosi influence, opinion for a swing trade, great show, everybody. I mean, technically, so first things first, I'm not here to endorse, hey, just follow whatever Nancy Pelosi does. That ETF apparently does really, really well, so obviously there's something to it, but you know, we're not necessarily here for that. So like you said, it's got a pretty good short float. You're catching it on the upswing, and I'm generally a big proponent of don't catch bottoms, let things break the trend, which this broke the trend here and then held the 50 period there. Generally speaking, I'm a bigger fan of getting it as it's holding the 50 period moving average as opposed to maybe paying for a top there. And then, you know, I usually would be like, yeah, stop out here, you're long in there, that's about 20% worth of risk. Like if I look at Alibaba, which, okay, Baba is going to close above the 50 period moving average. That was me knocking on wood just to make sure that it happens, and I didn't jinx it. If it does that, it's a very similar setup that I'd look for on Alibaba. But yeah, I think that's what Tempest is giving you. The fact that it has a short float, it can't hurt. I'd imagine any firm that is short a stock that all of a sudden Nancy Pelosi is interested in is probably getting a little bit nervous based on the history of what it usually does. But I mean, it looks pretty solid technically. I'm not here to tell you anything about what they do or any fundamentals. That's something that hopefully you look into if that's part of your thesis. If you just trade it off technicals, great. Maybe you don't care. But if you do like the fundamentals, then make sure you check it out. Like you don't want to be buying a lemon just because somebody else said so. That's not a good way to go about business. But a nice little breakout happening on Tempest for sure. That's not the first time we've talked about it. And for your sake, hopefully not the last. Hope it'll come back next week and it's a banger.
All right, so new position alert. Okay. We're into the TQQs right now, so this is a brand new position. I'm taking it just against this. If it breaks back through 25, then we're going to get out. Just feels right now like we could get going into the close, and the risk reward is probably here to try it. Like, I'm not giving it all the way to the bottom because the market's still red on the day, man. I mean, what is the ES doing? The ES is okay. It's the NASDAQ. ES is down half of this. So we'll just see if the NASDAQ wants to sort of get some good feels here into the weekend and maybe take off a little bit into the close. And we're only going to give this 20 handles worth of room, right? So our stop rate here is that break. So we're long at 86.40. We'll take a little bit more if it does drip in because we don't have a full position yet. If we get something into the 30s, I think we should take that. Low 30s right there, we will. But for right now, here it goes, man. It's a good... Let's take out that 5% again because, hey, with the futures, like we don't know where this is going to go, but a nice little move to the upside. We just missed it. We're at 51, so we'll see if we can get a fill here at 51. And then, again, I'm just getting out 5%, right? Like, as I say. So there it goes, breaking through 51. Now let's see if we can get going now to the upside. So target area, I mean, we do have some offers. I don't have any offers, but we do have some areas right here. 70s maybe could be something, maybe even a little bit lower if you could put something like maybe 60 right there, and then into the 70s. And remember, it's against a 20. So it's 20 handles worth of risk. So if we can get 20 handles on it, we should probably get out of maybe a third of it. So let's do that. Let's put an offer right now upside on the Qs and see if we get those fills. So far, so good. We'll wait at 57 and then we'll wait at 65 and see if that will work. All right, so there it is, man. A couple new positions for us on the TQQs.
Yeah, very quickly. Apple just broke. We had 72 short. We got some out at 61, and then it just broke 82. So the second it got to 1-to-1, we took some profit, and then it wicked. I mean, it literally got exactly to our first profit taker, then came back out to the upside. I have also moved the trail on Go EV just very quickly. When it did 2 steps down, then move the stop from that 58 half level into 56 and a half. So we're just hanging on to this as it heads to the downside. And the credit of Mr. Lib, I don't know whether or not it's her husband, Nancy Pelosi's husband, or her that makes the trades. I think it probably doesn't really matter. And I don't think a lot of people necessarily care. It's just more along the lines of they tend to have a lot of wins. It is what it is.
I mean, me and Neil here I mean, we're all talking about Nancy Pelosi. That's great. But I mean, we're putting up the wins for you here today. We just add another name here to it with the TQs. We hit the bang there because there it goes right up to that 57, 58 marker that we talked about. So it's a nice, I'm going to get out one more piece here as well at 58 if we can. We're just kind of like, we lost on Palantir, okay? We sort of gave that up and we did learn our lesson from all of this, right? I mean, it's like, instead of trying to catch this and trying to play it, I even said, let's go over, and I don't know how this is going to work out for us or not here. Okay, here comes 58. Ugh, I might punch some more 56s. All right, there we go. We punched out a little bit of 56s there. All right, so I don't know how it's going to work out, but we switched it up. Palantir wasn't working for us, so we just simply moved over. And there it is, right? So it's the TQs. We flipped it over, and then we make that back there. What we lost on Palantir, we'll put back here on the TQQs to put forth, a pretty decent day. So far here, we'll be green on what we've been showing you. And it's funny because Joe did that there on the midday show. He just said, like, let us know in the chat if you guys are red or green or whatever. I mean, I think right now there's still an hour left. How many of you are trading? What's going on with you there in the chat? What opportunities do you guys like? Because there it is again, Neil. We'll spin it one more time because, yeah, we're getting excited. The prints are coming in. It's another one right there for us on the TQQs. So there you go. You guys talk about scalping. You talk about getting in, getting out. I think we're putting on a little bit of a clinic here with these TQs, showing you, getting out pieces as we go, giving some levels, and trying to hold out for hopefully a bigger move northbound. There it goes. Qs. I could have looked at Tesla. That was another name that we were thinking about going long. We picked Palantir wrong, moved over to the TQs right. So far, so good right there. All right, Adair, what you got?
We have relaunched here this Mac revenue graphic. Tim Cook's name is now Tim Cook. And we actually also hear this nice background inspired by some of those MacBook colors. So take a look at this. Really interesting to kind of see how the Mac revenue has taken a big hit over the last year, especially after reaching a high around 40 billion in the fiscal year. So I think this is especially interesting because we know Apple's earnings report coming up too. So check this out on X, TTV Research. If you have any ideas for posts, always let us know. Trying to introduce some really cool content for you guys. So check this out if you are curious how Apple Mac revenue is going exactly 41 years after its initial launch on January 24th, 1984, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adair. Appreciate that. Love those graphics that you put out for sure. There's a lot of people in the chat have been asking about EVAX. I'll give you an update when I'm in a quick little second, but I was just posting in the chat as it made the move up, how thin the bid was. Tried to pick up a little bit there, but very, very thin bid on that move up. So essentially, you get a lot of people hitting the offer on the way from 550 to like 6.5 into 7 as it got off the schneid, but there really wasn't much in terms of like buyers that were filling it back up. Now starting to come in. Now they're starting to come in a little bit at the $6 level. Just be careful. If you're only trading off a chart, maybe you don't see that, but always have that book up, especially on a stock like this. $6 stock with a sometimes 3 cents, sometimes 5 cent spread. And if that opens up, you can get rinsed a little bit more than you would expect in terms of slippage when it doesn't have that liquidity. So the buyers are starting to come in there at that $6 level on, actually not even sure what the story is with EVAX. We'll check that one out. Maybe I'll go back and look in my news source to see what that is. EVAX, Adara, if you could just maybe post it there in a quick little second. So there's a double bottom here, not a double bottom, but a consolidative bottom happening right at the 53 level. I mean, it's kind of poetic, right? Like it's a 10% from support, prior support to the next support. It did this before, where it essentially went from like 65 to 58, 59, and then the same thing happening at that 53. But that EVAX suddenly is going to get on the radar. If it can, the buyers can continue to hold that $6 level, start putting in some higher lows. You want to see the volume come back in, which it's already started doing. But I'm not completely convinced that the buyers have won this just yet. Like it's already starting to slow down. Some of it feels like spoofing underneath that bid. And what I mean by that is they'll post at the level 1, and then it gets close to they'll post beneath the level 1 price. It'll get close to their price, and then by the time it gets there, they're not actually taking the fill. They're just posting another 5 cents lower. So when I see that happening, it doesn't make me feel that great about the loan.
No. All right, we reloaded.
Which actually happens a lot, believe it or not.
Ooh, okay. All right, so I don't know, man. Let's just look. You guys, okay, so Coinbase is hitting here. We're looking for some things that are maybe hitting different levels and whatnot. So let's just call up here. Our alert is on Coinbase. So let's go have, I don't know, maybe probably going down, right? Because Bitcoin right now is down to 105.5.
It's really going down.
So, yeah, so there's Coinbase here. Okay, yeah, excuse me, maybe an alert for the day on a scanner, giving us the low of the day maybe for Coinbase right there. Yeah, coming right back into the 300. So we'll alert to that itself on Coinbase, and then see if we do get that little bounce. I mean, if we're gonna talk crypto, let's have a just quick look at the asset itself. I don't even really look, I'm a proponent of altcoins. Like I have many different altcoins in my account. The heaviest one right now for me is Solana, but I do have Cardano in there as well. And then it's not really an altcoin, but we have Ethereum, obviously, that we're holding as well. But I think all of us really want to look at Bitcoin, as this is the one that, although it's funny, like that crypto release or legislation or executive order there, I don't think it actually used the term Bitcoin or anything like that. So that's what sort of gave people a little bit of a scare, I believe, about BTC. But there's that 200-period moving average coming into play again right now for Bitcoin. So that could be something to look at right there coming in. Maybe this is a good buy area. That's right about 105.8, 105.9, which is where we're at right now. So 15-minute to get a bigger look at this. I just keep on looking over here because the TQs, we'll get back to this in a second. So we only got out of about half right now of our position on the Qs. Now it's starting to fall back in. So we just got that fail. Remember, we said the areas that we were looking at to get out of the TQQs, right into here. So we did that. It didn't quite get to sort of our target again, where we were thought about it, but we are now long again down here at the 50-period moving average, trying to give it to 20s. If we break down below 20, then we will have to scram on the TQs. We are long right now at 36. Here it comes. So again, like my hands are completely off. The stop order's already in, meaning that this is very just a robotic trade, right? Meaning like if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we'll have to worry about getting out on the upside. I'm going to still put an offer where all this fun started, 86.50. Although it's looking now that I don't know how far we're going to go. Let's put at about 15% or so at the bottom. Well, we're at the bottom right now, but at the top of this shelf, I guess, right here. If we can get something out on the back end up this side, that would be great. But it looks like it wants to test a little bit lower. Remember, the theory was in hopes that we could get a flow through here into the close. It's now 3 o'clock, so I mean, we don't have to panic or anything like that. I mean, getting out here at this level makes perfect sense. It will basically turn this trade into a flat trade. And it looks like we're going to tell you, well, actually, I won't really be able to tell that much because my net is back and forth. But yeah, 105. Coinbase shouldn't have done too much there. All right, so there's the dip down. It almost got stopped out, but it did not. So we'll have to wait to see now what happens here. It just bounced off 20. So there's another example where sometimes you make the wick, sometimes you get saved. So we are saved temporarily on that one. If you don't like the trade, get out now for a 4-cent hit. I mean, I'm going to see if there is some love back up to the upside here. So let's give it that go. I was just like, we almost got stopped out, and it wasn't even a panic spot for me. My net's not really going too bad because it's not that big of a hit. So we'll wait to see what happens here. I still like this as a bottom take. We'll just see if it works. That's really all that we can do now.
I got up to the T. I got up to get a tea and went to the bathroom, and Coinbase dropped $2. That's the only reason I said.
I remember it was on my radar there, and then all of a sudden, yeah.
It was at 3:01. I got up. That was what, 90 seconds?
Yeah.
90 seconds, 2 minutes tops. Wasn't even that long. Coinbase is kind of bleeding here a little bit. What's Bitcoin do? No, Bitcoin's at 105.6. It's not even. It's like a Coinbase thing, for sure. Of course, Apple. Now Apple wants to flush. That's not really a flush. I mean, Apple wants to pull back. But even then, like that's like 30 cents. Like it's not moving. It's moving. It's not moving that much. What did they just? Bankers. Shoot, I heard something about Elon Musk.
They're trying to sell some of the debt, I think, from X, they said. Is that what it is?
Is that what it was?
I went over to, looking to sell. Gia, that's my daughter. Adara will get this in a minute. I know you're not seeing it now, but it will come. It'll come in a minute there, and we'll just find out about. I just went over to Tesla because we heard Elon Musk. We heard the sale there of debt, so I wanted to go over and have a quick look. TQs are coming back upside a little bit right now. I'm going to get out a 5% right now at 39, just for like a 3 or 4 handle win, put a little bit more in the pocket. But for right now, it is not, it's not really trading the greatest on the futures. Let's take some out here as we wait to hear what that story is again. And I mean, this is the best part, man. Adara's just sitting right over there. Looks like we might have another one for you right here, Neil. It could be
another one.
As here we go, man. A nice move to the upside right now. There we go. Let's go. Let's go, futures. There it is, man. Yes, we'll prop it up again for all of you guys trading on this account. There it goes. We just talked about it, man. So yeah, good little 10-handle move right now back to the upside as we're just building today, Neil, on the net. So it's starting to go right now and make a lot of sense and dollars for us. There we go. We got the 49s. Oh yeah, this is what we're talking about over here. I'm not sure what's going on with GoEV, but we are definitely on fire over on this side. Look, prop firm match. Join us in the prop firm game. Are you a skilled trader but lacking capital? Prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase. Man, trading is so much fun. Showcase your skills, access account sizes ranging from 5K to 500,000. You can start with as little as, you guessed it, that $20 bill of yours. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you find out which one's the best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms and proven track records that are consistent, long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews. Explore payout histories. Discover the best deals all in one place. Scan the QR code right now that you see on your screen for Prop Match. PropFirmMatch.com. There we go. But yeah, okay. Look, I love doing the reads, man, but like hosting the show is one thing. Trading is the first thing. And there it goes right there for the triple Qs. More outs at 55, more outs to the upside. There it goes, man. We talked about this. 15 handles as well, worth of risk to rip up 20 pennies. We on one again today. Adara, what's going on with Chew?
Here's the X news, and I want to clarify, it has absolutely nothing to do with Elon Musk. The wording of that, I think, was, I don't want to use the word clickbait, but that seems like what it was. Why it was mentioned in the headlines I'm seeing is because Elon Musk owns X. So the wording here of the headline was, banks prepared to sell billions of dollars of X loans. Again, some of them mentioned like owned by Elon Musk. Elon has absolutely nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with this catalyst. What this does have to do with basically is Wall Street Journal is reporting that some of these banks on Wall Street is preparing to sell billions of dollars worth of X loans, even specifically saying here that Morgan Stanley has apparently spoken to investors about selling their debt from X. So just be aware of that. Again, zero to do with Elon Musk here, guys.
You know what? I don't want to get into it too much, but the way that stories are framed lately around anything related to Elon Musk is kind of, it's amusing to say the least. And thank you, Adara, for the clarification there. Because I pulled up, and I'm like, why are we not moving? Who cares? But it's not that big of a deal. GoEV just flat.
I'll take the other side of that. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with Tesla. I mean, it's the fact is like...
No, fundamentally. I understand it can be I'm just saying fundamentally, it doesn't... Like, I pull up Tesla like everybody else because that's what you do in a situation like that. I mean, fundamentally, this doesn't matter to Tesla as a company. However...
But remember, like, when he was buying X and everything like that, Tesla was getting affected because people were like, what's going on here? So I just feel that if you're getting a call on some of this debt, we could see, I mean, is there a question mark about what's happening at X, what's happening with Tesla? This guy runs out of money. It will affect Tesla, right? But I don't think he's running out of money anytime soon. And that's what we had read out, right? Remember, we said that's going to be on X. They're trying to sell that debt there.
Well,
so
I don't want him.
Banks.
I don't want him buying. If you're Tesla, I'm a Tesla shareholder. I don't want him buying TikTok. Like, I don't want him involved in that. Like, raise money and how much of his own would he have to raise? It's too big for him to raise it on his own. But I don't want any part of that as a Tesla shareholder. Why would you care? It's not likely to be that big of a benefit, although there's some ways that it could be. But yeah, sometimes you just rather, be a boring CEO. I love when you own a stock with a boring CEO who just produces. And nothing against Elon Musk, he's a genius. But there was a flat bottom break here on GoEV. Just going to zoom it out for you guys because it did make the move. It made the break of 52 and then pulled right back in. There's no levels in here, but it bounced off of 42. I was just essentially sitting on the bid every couple of pennies because there really aren't any levels down here on GoEV. It started at 35 cents this morning. I don't know if it's going to pull the entire move back. But when you get something like this, if it gets back above 50 cents, I'm out. I'm just going to hang on to the last little piece. Essentially just a flat bottom break. And when you do any kind of when a penny stock in a general sense pushes to at or close to $1 and does a reversion play, I tend to like the other side of the trade. So for now, GoEV, and we'll see what happens to it on Monday. Keep your ear to the ground. Like, this is exactly the kind of stock we could wake up one day and you're trading it on the OTC markets. And then that's your last chance of doing it. Which, if you're ever trying to bottom pick these, be careful with that. Actually know a trader that happened to. We're like, yeah, I'm going to take a shot on this. And then it went to the OTC. Was still able to trade out of it. You can still trade on the OTC, depending on the rules with your account. Right? Like, yeah,
some accounts won't let you trade unregistered names and things like that. So, and that's why the OTC. Remember, they had those markers there. Here, I'll show you on the OTC. If you guys were wondering about potentially, what stocks, and we had Jeff on the other day. He comes on all the time, but you can basically see right here, just like between a Fannie and Freddie or something like that, there's these little markers right here, like QB, pink, QX, this like warning sign here as well. So you can go over, and some of these different stocks or listings will have different variables about them, meaning, and he was talking about it. Again, I don't know where exactly the link is to the, to the white sheet or white paper on what this all means or sort of the classification, but you can go over here and just go to it. It's otcmarkets.com. All the information's there. Jeff gave it to us. You can sort of see potentially which stocks have been, it's kind of like vetted by them. I think it's not kind of like, I think that is pretty much what it is. The OTC markets will look at these stocks, check their, bless you, part of it had to do with the filings and if the filings had been completed or not. So definitely do your homework. But yeah, great question there about GoEV, or not even a question, but a comment there about GoEV. We don't know where it's going, but for right now, it is staying upside. And I remember Hertz, is it still HTZ?
That's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So Hertz actually, and our friend Carl Icahn, this went down to nothing. And maybe I can call it up on the eSignal platform, which will do a little bit better charting than ours for this sake. It went down to the pink sheets. And you know what? Probably even passed earlier than this. Let's just go over here and have a quick look. Yeah. So, oh no, this is when it came back. Yeah. So see, so it went back down went basically under, and I say basically, it went under $1 there on said sheets, and came back, and there it was, man. Look at this move. Came back like at 73, 74 cents, and then absolutely ripped. That was back in 2020. Nice upside move as everybody, I guess, started renting cars during COVID. I don't know what's up with that, but nice move up, nice move up. It gets all the way from $1, basically. If you were about to send the pink sheets, you would have got pennies on the dollar, but it goes from an open market of $1, $1.20, all the way to $46, huh? And there's Hertz. So there's Hertz Global now coming back in. I feel like there's more of a story to this, but like from $1 to $46, I mean, wow, right there. So that's what can happen. And another story, of course, would be LKNCY. Which is Luckin Coffee, LKNCY, the Chinese coffee maker here, battling with Starbucks. They were also a NASDAQ name, and they had filing issues, LKNCY. I'll call this back up here. And they got delisted from the NASDAQ. And I don't think it was for anything other than something accounting-related issues, which is obviously pretty important. I'm going to go to a monthly chart just to show people that you can obviously invest like these names, although pretty wild. Here's Luckin Coffee, you know, goes all the way down here, up into $44 on IPO, basically, from the NASDAQ moving over, drips all the way down into zeros again. That's when we must have got delisted, and then straight there back up to the upside. So, you know, getting down to the pink sheets, if you can sort yourself out, isn't necessarily like the death wish that it can be. I'm not trying to say to hold on to any names that are going down there. We saw Save, I guess Spirit Airlines was one that I know Fabian was looking at.
I was actually, someone in the chat just asked a question. I just emailed Jeff Mendel. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. And the question was, do names in this pink sheets reverse split? To my knowledge, there'd be no reason why they would do a reverse split the same way that penny stocks need to on the NASDAQ and in New York. You do that so that you can remain listed. I don't think you would have that reason. But just to confirm, I shot him an email. And I'm sure he'll respond at some time, but I'm pretty sure the answer in that particular case is no. And there are really good trading opportunities as well. And don't forget, they're going to be launching OTC Moon, which the ability to trade in the aftermarket on earnings names, we're coming into earnings season, on things like the election night, when Tesla had the robo-taxi event, that was really big and some traders did really well. So I think adding more venues there is going to be great. So thank you to OTC for that. Rolls-Royce trades over there. The ADRs as well are pretty good. I checked to see if Tellurian had made it back. But no,
go down there?
No, it wasn't Tellurian. It wasn't Tellurian. Tellurian was a buyout. There was a No, there was another name I was thinking of there.
I mean, my Fisker went there to die. So
Fisker. Yeah, that's one.
I lost like $1,000 on that one.
No, I mean, there was the I've told whatever. Story before, like I used to trade penny stocks when I started out, like as a prop trader. So like my very first month or so was on big cap, and then the second month was on like small cap, $1 to $5, and then the second I started doing like really well on those. I was like, ooh, these penny stocks were even better, and so naturally, like the first non-mutual fund or anything that I invested in was taking shots at penny stocks because that's what I kind of knew at the beginning. And so I made all the classic mistakes.
Yeah,
like,
I wish
hold myself, hold something when it went to the OTC markets. That one I don't think I could get out of it. I think I lost 100. It wasn't a lot of money, but I learned some really good lessons along the way that mostly evolved to you don't have to worry about that when you buy good companies.
Right.
Mostly the case. Like even if you buy a downward trending company, like I'm just going to use the example of Snowflake because it's always the first one that comes to mind.
Yep.
Like even if I buy something like this, like I know that it's not likely to go to zero on me in rapid fashion. So even when I'm kind of catching a falling knife or like a little bit of a turn, I just feel safer doing it in something where, hey man, this is a real company that's doing real things that people actually believe in, and there's lots that also want to invest in it and pick some spots. So you'll always be a little bit careful. I've seen a few, Save is another one in there.
That was what I was saying, Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines. So just going to go back to Palantir for a quick little second because it's like 315. Obviously getting out of it was the wrong decision, but I don't know. I came in today thinking Palantir was strong, which it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes the bias gets the best of you. It did do a mean reversion and it did break the trend line, so that makes some sense. But it did, like the bottom, this is a legit bottom at 78.5. Like this wick is real off of the open at 78.5. So that's kind of the spot where I would look for a mean revert back into the upside on Palantir as long as there's enough time to be able to do it.
Go EV doing?
Volky in the chat, you're right about that. I always believed it was fine to hit singles and doubles consistently rather than taking a big risk on home runs. I think when you're trading small caps, it's a really valuable lesson because like I said, the first time I traded one, it was like I bought something at like, I don't remember, it was like, I think it was 47 cents. And it made a break to like 84 to 90, something like that. And then it rejected the dollar. And I was like, yeah, baby, this thing's going to be $5, all this good stuff. And next thing I know, I was selling it at 47 cents a week later when I had a double up. And at the time, like it's not, it wasn't a lot of money if I think about it now, but at the time I was pretty pissed off at myself because it was, yeah, like it was enough money that I'm like, what in the heck did I just do? Was the way that I was thinking about it. But, you know, you learn those lessons the hard way, and I've never made that mistake again. I bought Tellurian at $1, and I sold it at $1.75, and I was very happy with it. And then it came back and was 70 cents months later. So, you know, sometimes you learn lessons the hard way, and those are the best ones for you in the future. So let's see.
Wait a minute, Neil. You're happy with a 75% gain?
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but
that's the point.
But if I showed you a chart of Tellurian at the time, there's a lot of people that have been like, it's going to $5.
Oh, okay.
And I used to be that kind of a person, and then I realized that got me into trouble. So I was
gonna say, like, you're telling me like you bought it at $1, you sold it at $1.75. I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic to do that. Okay, so yeah, great trading there, and that's the thing is like, just stay like what you're comfortable doing, right? Because you gotta like, I don't know, some people get like really carried away and they get that YOLO and that FOMO and all that stuff. I think it's like, we talked about like, you know, maybe back in the day for us, it was like a lot of money to lose or something like that. But like, you know, I lost $1,000 and that was just only, I guess, what, 6 or 8 months ago there on Fisker. Like, that's not, just speaking for myself, and it's not that, just like, that's not that much to take a shot at something like that. But again, like, analyze that and understand that whenever you're trying to chase a Go EV, I mean, Neil has a great short rate here, but it's like, you don't know where it's going to open on Monday. Like, that's the thing. So could open up much higher, could open up gone. So, you know, you want to definitely hold something for the dream. I always think that's important, you know, like, but at the same time, don't make life-changing mistakes. We've had some people on here, and remember, I'm not going to call anybody out.
I remember that.
And part of it,
I know what you're going to say.
No, I don't know. Part of it was, I don't remember the guy's name, but he or she had super chatted about GameStop, saying that they had made life-changing money, life-changing money, but wasn't out of the stock. And it was up here at $32, $33, $34. And I was like, and I even said it there, and then he super chatted again. So there's strong conviction, and there's nothing wrong with having strong conviction. I think that you should have it. But it was like, you know, if you make that kind of money and you're in this area, and I want to say shout out to Chef Joe as well, because he had came out and talked about how, and this is from his words, so I don't want to, if you're on here, you can correct me if you're not, but you said that you had made quite a nice bit of money there on Tesla and was trying to hold it, and something that we talk about too is like, give it to my kids. Well, the one thing about that is that's great, but you know, you don't want to give it to your kids at a third of the value that it is today. So what I was saying is we do have conviction to try to hold things for a very long time, but at the same time, make sure, and I'm just going to, you know, it's basically practicing as I'm preaching here. And it's like, that is what I'm doing on FXI. Look where it is now. I mean, did we write down that we liked the long? Yes. Did we write down that we liked the TQs long, Rigetti short? Yes. But at the end of the day, nothing gets in your pocket until it's in your pocket. So like, look at all these fills. Like if I'm like a Chef Joe or somebody that holds forever, yeah, man, I make literally probably 20 times more money if I just hold them all for right now. Buy them, sell them there, buy them back right now at the end of the day. But the thing is that this is just a prop. If I knew where stocks were going, then I wouldn't even be sitting here. So that's the whole thing about making sure that you're consistent and honest with the trade. So that's why, you know, just make sure if you have, and especially when people say life-changing money, it's like,
the second you hear that,
yeah, that means like try to take something off the table. You know, we're always trying to make better lives.
Yeah, like when I threw away that, at the time, like that double up would have made me $1,000 on top of that penny stock.
Yeah.
Like I was young, man. Like it's different when you're like 20 in your early 20s. At the time, like it felt worse than it would feel right now. But the principle is also priceless. It's just one thing. A few people, including Jarhead, love you. Been a while since seen you in the chat there, Jarhead, have asked about this DXF. So we don't have it in our system, so I can't call it up. And I don't really know anything about it, except that a lot of people have been asking about this stock. Apparently it was halted most of the day and up 45%. But I can't bring it up. I can.
DXF?
Yeah, it's supposed to be on the AMEX, but like we don't have it on our platform right now. So sometimes if a stock is too illiquid, sometimes if something is like way too low liquidity, or maybe it's like it had an issue change or a recent IPO, sometimes it might not end up in the first day on our platforms. We can't see it, but I did just get out of GoEV. I moved my trail to here, as you can obviously see, at 48. So as far as it got down to 42, I think pretty much every day until they're gone, want to be looking at this stock. It did 271 million shares of volume today. So you got to believe there's going to be some more interest in it until inevitably, either figure something out, gets saved, or, you end up going over to the OTC markets, or the company just goes under. I think it'll be in play till then. Palantir is trying to hold lows, just kind of bounced. Consolidation, hasn't really broken this consolidation yet. I'll give it a chance to maybe pull back because the market's coming back in right now. Like I look at the NASDAQ kind of pulling back into support. So I'd rather maybe test the low before taking a breakout trade on PLTR. And then keep in mind we have imbalances coming in about 20-something minutes or so. Maybe like 1 or 2 more shots before we get to the end of the day. And yeah, Travel Trader, I'm assuming that DXF is insanely low traded. One of the good things about real trading, you have it? Okay.
I mean, this is why we talk about why you should be always using eSignal platform, right? I mean, this is it right here. So they're quoting everything. So it looks like it just split 1 for 125, and then it was doing nothing here. And then I don't know if this is its first day alive or what, but here goes DXF. It is known as, and here's a 1-minute chart because Neil's already tested it. I'm not going to try it on our platform. You did already.
No, we don't.
Yeah, so there it goes to the upside again. Remember, because we're at a prop firm and we're trading firm capital, we're not just allowed to go into any stock at all time. If generally speaking, the rule is here at Real Trading, if it's under 50,000 average daily volume, then it's not going to be in the system the very first day because compliance and everything looks at it and says what's the risk like and blah blah blah. We got to make sure it's borrowable and all that kind of the fancy stuff there. So we're going to find out about this, but right now we are going off on DXF. So great look there on the company. It is a ADR. It looks like it is Eason Technology Limited ADR. So good call out. And if you're in it, man, you are really doing well today, up 600+%. Thank you to eSignal there. As again, we talk about having sort of the reliability of the charting there, and so there it is, DXF.
And that rule's that's an important rule about the liquidity because obviously on a prop floor, traders get lots of buying power because you're day trading, you're in and out of positions guaranteed at the end of the day, so therefore your account can be bigger than a retail account.
Yep.
And if you throw someone like that just has a big amount of buying power on a stock with no liquidity, they don't know any better. You put one order because you have the ability to trade a lot, and then one fill can end you pretty quickly on those small caps. All right, maybe there's a chance. I'm kind of wondering. All right, there might, every now and then there can be imbalances on things like OEV, but it just pulled back into our flat bottom break level at 58. So if it can curl there, that would be worth a shot. It's basically that or PLTR, which is now breaking. It just stair-stepped and broke out. So I was waiting for the dip, and then it decided it wanted to break out a little bit more. So maybe we get one more crack at PLTR. Such a weird move that Palantir did today. Yeah, it's one you got to wrap your head around because it was so strong. If it can catch a little bit of a bid, it's not a mean reversion or anything, and usually that's the way I would like to take it, but it is holding that wick bottom.
Okay.
That's pretty strong. It's getting back above the 79. Maybe we'll nibble in front of the even dollar on Palantir and see what this thing is capable of doing going into the close here. Just a couple minutes until we get some early. Actually, that's not true. It's 3:25. What am I talking about?
Yeah, so what?
It's 15 minutes. Until 25 minutes.
Today is really funny. Okay, so guys, we did it again. I'm reloaded. Put on another winning trade, Ramin.
Gimme.
Ramin's like, what did you do? Oh, I think this is very appropriate right now as we have some fun here as we watch out for the futures trade. Here it is, man. I told you this is when I tell my wife we had a winning trade right there. Imagine that was your dad just looking at you, and there's this guy. Isn't he 6'8"? As here we go. This is the best part right there. There it is.
He's ridiculously tall.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, guys. So just having all fun there. More outs there. We just got up into 40s and 50s. Remember, these are reload positions. we've taken the profit out of this already a little bit to the top side, just averaging. The thing is that you don't want, we're averaging in, but it's the same price. So what we're doing is getting more opportunities. Now, you don't just keep on reloading. I'm not going to be doing it anymore as we are getting into the close. It's either going to win now or it's not. If it just goes like this, that's a recipe to get basically give everything back, because you will start to get like, oh, it's breaking the top. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. And then you just keep on getting wicked out back and forth. So we are not going to do that. I mean, let's see my example on Palantir earlier when it did this, you know, where we made some money and then just to give it back and wind up being flat on the stock. That's, you know, it's fun and everything, but at the end of the day, there it goes. You have to exit when this happens, because you can have all these outs and then boom goes the dynamite. So I know you were just on Palantir there, and I guess it did the same thing to you.
Yeah, I broke 79 long and stopped it out underneath prior bar resistance. So it's 15 cents worth of risk, but it couldn't hold that bid whatsoever on PLTR. GoEV is not SSR, but it's still, I mean, whatever. I tried to just get it on the offer here. I actually didn't punch. I just thought I punched. But obviously this thing, it's weird to say that it's spready when the spread is 1/4 cent or 1/2 cent, but that's actually a pretty decent spread when it gets up here. So you don't necessarily want to chase it, because those are like percentage points when you start to think about it. So it's a little bit spready up here. It's starting to tighten up, but it went right to the resistance spot. I went to get short by cutting the spread, but then the spread opened up to almost a full cent on the stock, which is kind of insane for a penny stock. You shouldn't, like, you're not expecting to see like a big spread like that. So anyways, it did tighten up a little bit, but it looks like the chance to get back into that, you had to be a little bit swift. What I'm realizing for this is when you look at these trades, like getting it when it consolidates or on the way down or when it consolidates, it can work, but when it flat bottom breaks, it's just so much easier. Like if you look at every one of these, it's like, okay, yeah, you work yourself in, all that good stuff. Or it can just have a support level, dump off the support level, and you just get short when it breaks a low. Those have been so much easier. Like even when it did it here at like 52, that's a lot easier than trying to catch a curl on one of these bad boys. Apple is dumping, huge dump on Apple. A couple of people who just said.
Yep, it was decent.
That looks like.
That is for sure.
Yeah, that looks like it would have been.
And that got us out of our TQQ trade there right now as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, there it goes. And there goes AAPL, just because everyone's talking about it right now. I will talk about FXI in a couple of seconds, but yeah, that's a nice little drop there on Apple. What's up, eh?
We're going to take a look here at the best performing S&P 500 name on the day and the worst. So what I did was I just looked at the components on the S&P 500 on TradingView. What is up the most percent in the day? What is up the least percent? So of all these 500 tickers, the winner on the day is, drumroll please, Next Era Energy. NEE is a utility name. I believe it's the largest component in utilities, which is one of the strongest sectors on the day as well. So that tracks. What does not necessarily track as their earnings report, which is why they're trading higher. But this is a pretty mixed report. In line earnings per share, they missed by over $2 billion on sales, and their guidance is pretty tepid as well. So interesting look here. NEE, regardless of the actual numbers, the report, nice push to the upside. Then we give CF. I'll move these. Basically, a slew of downgrades on this name. I looked into this. CF down over 7% in the day. By the way, the only name that is down around the same amount as CF here is going to be TXN on earnings. CF Industries, I looked into it to understand these downgrades because we had 2 or 3 downgrades today. We had another slew of downgrades on Tuesday, so they're a hydrogen-related name. From what I could tell, apparently Donald Trump and his getting rid of the Green New Deal is actually a bad look for some of these hydrogen names from the limited research I did. So be aware here. Looks like this CF getting a little bit sold off with analysts getting pretty cautious here. So CF and TXN, the losers of the day. The winner of the day, NEE. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the market recap with Sean, myself, and Chris Brecher. 4 p.m., guys.
Make sure you stick around for that. And for those that asked in the chat about whether or not OTC splits, Jeff got right back. And he said, actually, they do.
Ooh,
because there's
Mendel, ladies and gentlemen.
Domestic and foreign names, but there's a lot of the foreign ones. There'll be underlying companies where it's dual listed somewhere else, like in Canada, where you do have those listing rules. And of course, if they reverse split there, they'll reverse split on the OTC. But outside of that, it still can happen to domestic names. So it's absolutely possible that happens. Remember, a reverse split doesn't fundamentally change anything about the stock except for a change in price. I think the only time it's a material difference is when it's a ridiculously expensive stock that a lot of retail is not touching for options because assignment's too expensive. So I think it matters splits more than reverse splits.
Boo, yep.
You know, either you're regaining compliance or you're making it cheaper for people to play options. I think those are the two reasons why it ends up mattering. The one thing I'm also realizing here, and I'll do some work on this, is I think you need to be trading using some dark pools when you're trading penny stocks here. And we have a lot of keys that we have the ability to use. And I think I'm realizing that some of the old tried and true that I'm using on GoEV are not getting the fills that you want. So I'll be asking around at some of the good keys that we can use from some of our other friends here at Real Trading. Apple, I guess there wasn't news on that. It was just, well, we're just going to randomly drop $1.30 on Apple and then come right back up. So yeah, I mean, I didn't see anything cross the wire. I even checked on the X over here on X and didn't see anything unless I'm missing it. Yeah, like Apple just seemed like it fell off a shelf here, and then we're right back into 220. Like that 223 still feels like resistance. Maybe it'll get up there and turn again. Early looks are pretty much nothing. ET phone home, and then that's, what'll that be, Guidewire? GWRE. Yeah, that's Guidewire. Wait a minute, that's a delete today. I know it's an addition, check that. Guidewire is an addition to the S&P 400. And right now it's an early look sell of 2.4 million. So that could be interesting if it flips.
Okay, you know what?
How big is that?
Let's go over and check out who's making money. All right, so this is from, I'm going to refresh this page. So this is our internal, and it just made me think about it because Neil had mentioned here that, you know, if it's a buy or a sell. So this is our trader information portal. This is available to Real Trading partners, right? Here's like a report on what's been trading in the TMX. Here's like, again, it just looks like it's some sort of an article here about the midday crunch. NASDAQ scheduled maintenance. Okay, so that's interesting to know. We'll find out about that. Here we go, trading Link on OTCX. So there's a talk about Link and some legendary flows. So there's some notes in here, index events. So we click on this, and this is where we can be able to see what's being added or what's being deleted here today. So there are a couple ones, GRWE, ARWR, B is a deletion. Is that BlackBerry? What is B?
No, that's Barnes & Noble.
Oh, Barnes & Noble, okay.
Barnes Group.
Anyway, so this is all available to us, but also what's available is right here, compare your profit. So let's go over and have a quick look to see who's making what kind of money. So here we go. These are the top 10 traders. Now, this is from yesterday. All right, this is from Real Trading. Again, the world's leading prop firm. NASDAQ. So someone yesterday made 23K. Good day. 16, 12, but like, look at this. This is another thing. Can you take a look at that? CBOE in Canada and the TSX Venture. So somebody, again, we talk about Hive. We talk about the different opportunities with eSignal, the different opportunities with P-Pro 8, the different opportunities with everything right here. You're going to be able to see that, look, new markets, Amex, NASDAQ, that would be probably ETFs. There we go, New York, NASDAQ, and then someone down here as well. I mean, look, the only one on here is this one that's unique. But as you scroll down in, it doesn't look like we had too many different markets here. These are the different markets that someone traded. So Hong Kong, 2,800, Australia, 800, damn. Paris. So not much money in some of these other markets. Like yesterday's top pink sheet trader was $400. So it's not, you know.
That's low for Europe.
Yeah, exactly. This is low for everything. So yesterday, I don't know what was up with yesterday, but those are the numbers there at Real Trading. So we'll drop those down for you. And, you know, I'll go over those every day if you want. That's the numbers here. And again, remember, I'm green today. You can ask us if we're green or red. We don't disclose our P&Ls, but you know, if you ask us and I tell you like 8 out of 10 days where I'm green, or you just ask and keep track of yourself. Yeah, so far so good there, man. It's 3:35, getting ready for the weekend. I'm so excited. We've got 3 or 4 hockey games to attend. Football on Sunday should be great. Some great matchups. Really excited for Philadelphia as well.
My weekend's, yeah.
I think that's going to be insane as well. I'm doing the e-signal ad read. I mean, I only get paid so much. Okay, all right, we'll do that. I go, but I shout them out all the time. All right, we'll do e-signal ad read in just a little bit. Make sure you do follow that. But thanks, thanks Ramin for reminding me about. I almost said thanks Adara again. 1 second. Oh my
Thanks,
God, what
Adara.
am I going to do? How am I possibly going to do this?
Get it there.
All right, well, hey, when it's easy because hey, I'm passionate about this. We've already got some questions. Does e-signal connect to our broker? Is e-signal available in the App Store? There it is right there. We just saw it. So go over, download it, hit your e-signal tabs. Look, give them a try. If you don't like the charting, you don't like the charting. We just called up that DXF. We found it on e-signal. And the best part about it is, honestly, all markets. You know, like I like other platforms, but some of them, you're already paying for it, you know, monthly, yearly, things like that. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you get solid data that you can back test against. And the last thing you want to be doing is sitting here thinking that you have a strategy for Europe or Hong Kong or even the US markets or whatever, and you don't have reliable data. Grab e-signal, scan that QR code. Oh, by the way, look what's right here. Rigetti right now, falling out of bed, man. $3 winner on a $15, $16 name. The market, I don't know. It's not really doing anything. But Rigetti right now, a nice fall down for RGTI. So, yeah, so far so good, man. Tesla deflating like a whoopee cushion? Yeah, probably. Shout out to Kyle Burdett and Chef Joe. Kyle saying he really liked that interview, or it wasn't an interview, just back and forth with me and Chef. So
discussion.
Yeah, discussion. And today we'll have Chris Brecher on, who we'll have fun with as well.
Yeah, always good to have Chris Brecher on. We do appreciate him. Coinbase almost went red just now, and Apple, yikes. Apple starting to get a little bit of a curl. 12 minutes till the imbalances come in here. Yeah. So, anyways, I canceled any shot at getting that Go EV. Just doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near the price that we wanted. It's one thing to want the curl and short it up here at 55, but you know, there's a saying, like there's always a price that you're not willing to pay. And for me, that's going to be shorting at the absolute lows. But yeah, this is the one we wanted to try to get back into with only about 22 minutes to go. Maybe it pops one more time, and then that can be it. But if it doesn't, then I'm not going to take any more shots at it at this point on Go EV. Nvidia is catching a little bit of a bid. We've seen us have buy imbalances in the past. I'm going to have Nvidia, Apple, and then that Guidewire just because Guidewire has an imbalance that we're expecting. Right, so I will have Guidewire up in case it does come out a big bid, but right now it's early look sell for what's supposed to be 7 million shares to buy. So because it's supposed to be 7 million shares to buy, the fact that it's a 2 million sell isn't that big of a deal because that can pair off and flip by the time we get to 350. But those are the three stocks I'm looking at. Go EV will probably be dead at this point. So Apple, Guidewire, and then of course Nvidia in anticipation of any potential imbalance that we might be able to see here. With only about 10 minutes to go here. Let us know if there's anything else that's worth looking at. MSTR is tanking, I'm seeing. Really? Because Bitcoin is at 105.
Coming back a little bit.
Yeah, it's tanking all right. MSTR is getting punked, and it's not that bad on iBit. Wow. Oh, this is, I don't know, I was just at Physio yesterday, and this is one that my guy, you know, he loves MSTR. So every time I'm like, yuck on MSTR. Don't chase. But this is the problem with MSTR. It's a problem with some of the miners as well. Like Bitcoin goes down a little bit. And these go down a lot of pressure on MSTR. No story that we're aware of. I feel like there's a few things that are a little bit, just say antsy on this Friday. Oof. And the thing that we didn't even mention much about is remember Bank of Japan that raised. Yes. Well, ultimately it wasn't as big a deal than the last time, but it still ended up with us having a bit of a heavy day in the market. So you got to pay attention to that a little bit, and it seems like it's going to matter this year what they're doing because that'll affect any carry trade, and sometimes you get even a little bit of an unwind, put some pressure on a lot of stocks. Maybe not what's going on with MSTR, but some of the big cap names for sure.
Yeah, good talk there for sure. Yeah, good point.
We forgot about that.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that earlier, and I forgot to sort of look over there. What's Palantir doing? Okay, so Palantir is, at least it's going to the down. So I just want to show you like what and again, it doesn't really matter, but like what a difference there, because look at the TQs, right? Doing this, we're able to get out of some. Since we switched over away from Palantir did have that move into 79, and then the fade right back out. It touched out 78.50. So yeah, this name's still a little bit of trouble here for PLTR. So just, you know, if you're in the name, good on you, but I'm not sure what to expect here from Mr. Palantir and Alex Karp and friends. So we'll wait for it and see if we get any love back in on PLTR here. But I'm not going to touch it right now. Still FXI. We've traded this many times. Neil and I here are not. We've talked about trading Chinese names into the close, and generally speaking, doesn't really work out that well because there never seems to be too much volume when we're trading some of these Chinese names. So I'm going to be getting out if this breaks 30 to the downside right here on this space. So that's what we're going to do right now. If it breaks through 30, we're going to get out of FXI for a big win, man. 40 cents. We'll take that. The stop was 10. So again, small piece left on it, but still in. You guys talking about Tesla giving it up. Yeah. I still cannot, Tesla's now number 3 here P&L wise, but we only went long today and then we left it alone. Big mistake. I got to own some of this. Look, I mean, it's a positive stock. It's good, but I got to be better at, and I think we did great. I mean, we put TQQs in here of reversing the position. So we were long and then we reversed it on the futures, but I got to do a little bit of a better job of wrapping my head around like, all right, I like Tesla. We talked about it on here, and I'm glad we did. I said that it was my number 1 trading idea. So for it to be P&L 2, I'll take it. But at the end of the day, maybe the short, I mean, right into there. I wasn't here at this time, but like VWAP again, I was definitely here right there, right? And we were long. So just understand that if you're underneath VWAP, it kind of is a game changer for me. And we should have been better on Tesla. So put your hands up in the air because right now that was on me. I should have done better there on Tesla and reversed the position and gone into the short. But that's okay. We will get it again. JP Morgan, I don't know.
50 period on Monday on Tesla.
Ooh, 50 period. Where is that's 380?
Actually, no, it's now 390 because and that's the thing about a moving average. Everybody, as the stock generally climbs higher, the moving average climbs higher. So I actually put in the chat now that I was looking at the 50 period on Tesla, and I said 380 in the chat. It is, of course, now 390. At the beginning of the week, it was $380. Tesla hasn't been under that since October of last year. And look at what happened when it did break the 50 period moving average. You essentially got an accumulation for, call it half a month of a tight range, and then the breakout where you got the double up from that 200 level, like real quick. So let's see. I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen. Obviously, you got earnings to come through for Tesla as well. But if we get back to that 50, even if it breaches it by a little bit, I'll be looking for some kind of a curl on Tesla. 7 minutes to go till the imbalances. Danny Nahas, you're welcome. I need your Bills to kick some Chiefs butt. We all need the Bills to kick some Chiefs butt because sick and tired of Patrick Mahomes winning everything. Let's go over to the desk with Adair.
Keep an eye here on META and SNAP, and it's actually not TikTok related. Wall Street Journal reporting that there is a recent email sent by Elon Musk, the owner of X, to some staff at X, and I do not mean United Steel, I do mean the social media company. Apparently this email that Musk sent basically said that their user growth is stagnant, their revenue is unimpressive, and they're barely breaking even. So Elon Musk apparently expressing some discontent with regards to X's performance in an email to staff members. Keep an eye on META and SNAP, as well as Tesla potentially, because that is an Elon Musk associated name, guys. Back to you.
Meta. So Meta ultimately not going to be as good as Alphabet here today. It holds on to VWAP. It gets some points here, but Alphabet doing a little bit better at the end of the day, although it's underneath 200. So it's getting a little bit of a bleed for sure. Hector in the chat, no, we didn't see anything on Apple regarding this wick. So I didn't see anything. I pulled up X. We kept our ear to the ground. Adara was checking for news on Apple, and nobody was able to find anything to explain what happened. It's like that never happens to you when you're in it. And I'll never forget when I was, true story, I was short a firm 5 minutes before that day where they accidentally released their earnings. and I had just gotten out of it. And then they released their earnings like accidentally at like 3 o'clock or 2:30. It was in the afternoon, whatever it was. It was in the afternoon, and the stock tanked like 5-10% or some utter nonsense. But yeah, Apple wasn't news that we're aware of, but let's be real, Apple's been bleeding. So it could just been somebody's been program selling maybe all day long, or they just didn't get enough of it done. You know, they hit a big order and it took out the bid. Sometimes that's just a simple case of it. And again, it's a downward trending stock. Still like that 200 period on Apple. As far as I'm concerned, it might even be better if it breaks the 200 period from a long-term perspective, because then you get like even better prices to be able to be involved in. Like generally speaking, you don't get generational dip buys in Apple. Like when Meta lost its 200 period, like the next 6 months were a great buying opportunity for you. Apple tends to not give you those opportunities, and maybe it's about to give it to us.
Yeah, no, we talked about Apple. Actually, Apple does dip down 20 or 30%. We've sort of shown that, but I mean, you got to be there to buy it. So I think that you've always talked about stink bids, and that would be just putting a bid down there and hoping to get filled. And maybe that would be there on Apple, especially you're going to get a capitulation point at some point. Yeah, like point at some point where the market just absolutely either. Well, we've seen it happen before where stocks get really excited and they rip up 10. I mean, look at ARM just the other day. Got huge upside and then just came right back in and filled up everybody else the other way. We were long ARM 160. Oh, it's still right here. 160 up to 180. We had a $20 winner the other day. And even today, look at this, come all the way back down, filling up that whole candle on Operation Stargate. I don't know, is it Operation Stargate? I don't know what it is. Project Stargate? I don't know. But at the end of the day, nice move there up for ARM. And then given all of it back again for ARM. So just be careful here. Not just who you're following or anything like that, but like just make sure that all the trades that you make are the ones that you want to make. And I just mean that like don't get caught up in like trying to make swing trades if that's not something that you don't have outs or anything like that. ARM is a good example of like, you sort of hear the news and think it's a great story only for the next couple of days with not much changing for it to come all the way back down in again. So, kind of like rug pulling all over again, but in a bigger name like ARM, it does happen all of the time. All right, so FXI is not doing anything, Rigetti's not doing anything, our futures isn't doing anything. Let's check out what Nvidia is doing. Wow, okay.
Still.
So I actually,
stink like this silly.
Like I like Nvidia better than Apple. We just talked about Apple getting into the 50-period moving average. Nvidia is now $2 away from it.
Better.
So like, yeah, exactly. Like I like I like Nvidia a lot better than Apple. So yeah, I feel pretty confident if this is kind of the level that we start buying some more shares here on Nvidia. So I think we're getting close to that point.
And I know Ari Pages was joking with me, but just on the off chance that people didn't realize, like
what did he say?
If I say I'm stink bidding it in my PA, I just mean in my personal account.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm literally stink bidding in my personal account on ARM in front of the 50-period moving average. I don't know, maybe it'll actually fill this time. You never really know. And that's just I find there's been way too many times where I wanted to buy a stock for the long term at a certain price and I didn't put an order in, then it got there, then I decided I'll buy it a day later, maybe I miss a fill, or maybe I buy it 3% at worse of price. Who cares? If you like it, just throw the order in there, buy it, and then never sell it. If I'm never selling it, I don't care too much. It's more of like a value thing. And Nvidia, I guess we're going to get 140 maybe next week.
Yeah.
That could happen. Vin sings, SMCI recovery. Maybe. I'm just going to go over to the imbalances because just realized we have 30 seconds to go. Where did Guidewire? So Guidewire was an early look sell despite it's supposed to be a buy. If you're wondering, B is Barnes Group. They're being bought for cash, $47.50, and it's being deleted today. So I would expect that's going to come out of sell. But in about 5 seconds, we'll see if anything else decides that it wants to come out as a sell imbalance. And Nvidia's a buy, $4 million to the upside there. ET, whatever that is, phone home, $4 million to the sell side. I don't know ARWR. That's 2.7 million to the buy side as well. Apple and Amazon both 1 million to the buy side. Guidewire came out of sell, so that's not much of any use.
Yeah, I wish I was a little bit quicker there. As soon as I saw Nvidia, and this is the thing. So this trade, shout out to Marty and everything like that. I'm gonna just zoom in to show you. But like Nvidia came out a buy. The trade might be squashed right now, but I tried it and just missed it. And that is that. you know, it was right down there. I saw to buy it, tried to buy it, and the next thing I knew, man, it was at 50s. So I canceled that bid because Nvidia came out of buy and just absolutely ripped upside right there. So the play for this is if Nvidia if this starts to pair off and we see some weakness, we could reverse into the short now for Nvidia. But look at that, man. Like you just said, big time short, big time level for Nvidia, and someone coming in, nabbing them all up. Okay, so there's that GRWE, that stayed. Amazon, I'm just trying to look at some names that might have interest. It might interest some of you guys. Amazon, nice move up. Didn't even realize that was red on the day, but it is. So there's Amazon, good little level there. Again, I feel like you could fade most of these plays. So as we get closer and closer to 355, you'll get a flip over on this, right? Yeah. So we'll wait to see if something. Amazon, I think, is the #1 candidate to go short. So 234.50 or so. If we're hanging around there near the close, I think this could be one of the victims here to go short on, as we'll get that flipped around on Amazon. So let's be careful with it. But I think this is possibly one.
Yeah, it's a disappointment for Guidewire. I'm going to leave it up because if it, like Sean said about flips. If Guidewire were to flip to a buy, I still would be interested in it there. But yeah, obviously, you know, 1 million to the sell side when you're expecting 7 million. What I like about that, though, is the paired volume is 3.6. So add that up, it's 4.7. We're expecting 7 million. It could still flip into the good side for us. Pfizer was a million buy, but I looked that up and I mean, not really that. Yeah, it wasn't really that appealing. Apple, you saw with their imbalance, it's not really moving a heck of a lot. Nvidia tried to go on its buy imbalance. Like, you know, it's a weak day for Nvidia when it comes out 4 milli to the buy side, is still there 2 minutes later, and we're right back hanging off of those lows. So it's not looking that good. We always talk about the close prices mattering more on these names. Well, this is not exactly what you're looking for Nvidia. You want that buy and balance to give you a relief rally on most days, and today it doesn't look like the case. Yeah, Guidewire, that might be a nothing burger. So I think sometimes what will happen is people expect it to be a buy, it comes out a sell, and there's people that have taken this long in anticipation it's going to come out one way, and then it comes out the other way and it bleeds on them. So you got to be careful. Like, just because it's supposed to be a bid in your research doesn't mean that you're supposed to go in there and just buy the stock all day long, because this thing's falling like a rock. I'm glad I'm not involved in it, to be honest with you.
So we just put out a bid here for Rigetti. If it breaks through 1330, then we're out. You know, I mean, we held this all the way down for one last piece here. And again, we'll hold trades all day, but this is just a small piece. But I was pretty happy. I mean, a lot of our outs were at 14, and then again here at 1350, and we sort of zoomed back out and explained why we liked some of these levels here on Rigetti. So, you know, if we do pop back up at the end of the day, then we will get out of some RGTI. I still want to go back and check on that idea that we sort of had here with Amazon fading off of this. So we'll see in just a couple minutes. We will get this imbalance going the other way, I think, on Nvidia. So it's already on Nvidia, on Amazon. So there it is. It's already 1 million trying to pair off. Google sell side, AMD sell side, Apple buy side, SoFi buy side there as well.
SoFi.
Yeah, SoFi buy side. Yeah, so $18. So again, pretty good level there for SoFi. It had a nice run today. It was brought to our attention earlier. I think it was 1860 or so on SoFi was one of the highs that we were looking for. But here comes Amazon. So let's just watch to see what winds up happening. Again, no skin in the game right now, but I was thinking that that's not a horrible short, just you might have missed it, 40s or so. Watch out for the pair off here in 25 seconds. Again, like I said, I think this is prime candidate, maybe #1 here for me, would be this short right now in Amazon. So let's just wait to see. Here we go, 15 seconds, possible to get it, and then we'll see what winds up happening. So here comes Amazon right now with only 10 seconds. Everything's starting to pair off. Watch out for Nvidia.
It's still 4 mil.
Yeah, there it is. So we'll keep it on there. Still 1 million. 3, 2, and 1. There it goes. No, upside. So it does not. See? So it stays a bid, and then you pay the piper there.
Nvidia stayed bid.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of these names stayed buys. So not enough levels to pair off. There it goes right back there to the upside. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be a winner on that strategy there today because there is no pair offs. Look at Nvidia as well. So, you know, everything takes a little bit of work, and we're going to get better at doing that one. But there it goes, Nvidia upside, same as Amazon. So I don't know what happened to this B. It now has an N beside it, but
that's like it's neutral.
means something, yeah.
Yeah, it means something. I just whatever. I have to go to the research. Remember, it does. It's neutral, but I don't remember exactly what that means. But it doesn't really matter.
FXI came in.
That's a big disappointment, I'd say. So obviously, Guidewire, you're not going to see any big buy imbalance on that. It probably rinsed some people. Yeah, it's actually bouncing a little bit, but not a good look. The one that was supposed to be the buy and balance ends up an absolute nothing burger. So, what are you gonna do? You can't get just because it's supposed to be there. We say it all the time. Like you'll get a situation where NU that shows up, it comes out as you expect, and it's a huge trade, or like Palantir when it happened. But Guidewire is going to be a nothing burger. Apple does do at least a little bit of a job here. Oddly enough, it is right back to where that little liquidity grab and dump happened. So whatever it was, they bought it right back up. And Apple, maybe it closes green. I don't want to put a hex on this or anything, but I like the fact that at least this got bought up off of those lows. And remember, it's now held down around here for like 3 days after that big dump. I still feel like Apple's trying to make a little bit of a bottom in there. That said, what we got to do better next week, or at least I'm speaking for myself here. There's always that it failed the prior high in an overall downward trend. On some level, look at this. Like, I don't mind taking a shot on longs at dips on good prices, but when it's actually the same pattern as the day before where it's stair-stepping down, those are almost identical 15-minute charts for all intents and purposes. That's what I don't like about trying to go long Apple today, is that this is exactly what it did the day before. So you never want to get tricked by the same thing. Ultimately, it could be worse, but the short would be infinitely better.
All right, guys. We just posted out there. We are now out of Rigetti. You can clearly see the trade right there. We are now out of it. So far, so good there into the close. We'll just cover it right there. We can't hold overnight, nor would I. I don't necessarily think that that's going to ever be the right plan, especially over a weekend. Unless it's a bigger cap name, you're not too worried about it. Even
then, it's not worth it.
What? Well, no. I think if it's a big cap name, I think you're fine. It depends on your strategy. It's just with Rigetti, moving 2% is fine, but this thing could be 40% on Monday or Tuesday, right? I mean, I hold all my positions.
No, I mean, I'm just meaning short. That's all.
Oh, short, yeah.
There's just a different level of risk holding shorts over a weekend in an explosive squeezing group. You're probably, which one is more likely to wreck? Is holding sort of squeezable names to the short side. We've seen it happen before. Let's just leave it at that. And sometimes you get really lucky when you're stuck in, we see people stuck in overnight positions, and it doesn't look really good on the chart. But every now and then you get bailed out. So I'm going to watch Apple, 90 seconds to go into the close. Maybe it gets green. I think that would be a pretty hefty job for it when the NASDAQ is 0.5% to the downside and everything's been bleeding all day. Nvidia, is Nvidia catching a bid? I removed that to look at something else. I want to keep it on Apple here. Nvidia still trying to catch a little bit of a bid here. Back at the 143 level there for Nvidia. I just thought I heard CRISPR, but it's not the right one. So Nvidia, not much of a bounce. Apple doing a really good job. Looks like it wants to close green. It really wants to with about 60 seconds left. We got 1 minute for the end of the week. Come on, you can do it. Get that one sliver of hope and make it Meta, Google, and Apple that we're able to close on the right side of things here today. Yeah, the bull.
January 30th.
I don't know. At some point, I knocked the bull over with my elbow because I always do it. And I guess it was apt today. Maybe we should have known. We had Japan raising rates, or Bank of Japan anyways. Yep. We had Adara wearing red.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my God.
And Sean wore a red hat. But then all of us wore blue, like navy blue today. Not that seems to matter, but it is what it is. It's a red day in the market, but we're kind of hoping Apple can do a bit of a job here at the end of the day. I just jinxed it. 10 seconds to go, and Apple just caught another seller at 223. Adara, ring it in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. And the market, as they say, is closed. No, Apple did not do it. It is a disappointment there for AAPL. Look, overall, this was not a very good day for the market. And the reason I know it's only, we're only 0.6 to the downside on the NASDAQ. We're only 0.3 to the downside on the ES. But when you consider that it started out with all the exuberance with Nvidia, And then Nvidia didn't just lose the bid, like it continued to lose it. Held all the support that we'd built up the last couple of days and then filled in more of the gap, right? Nvidia is a bit of a bellwether for the market. It's hard for us to go when Nvidia doesn't go. That's just how it's going to be. So you got to have a little bit of a cautious tone heading into next week. But that said, we got earnings. Big earnings week next week for sure. We started out with Netflix. Actually didn't even check to see where Netflix finished their week. Double check, $9.76. So still under that $1,000 mark, but still a good week for overall for Netflix. Big shout out and thank you to Fabian and Ramin on the ones and the twos. Shout out to Joe and Sharif, as always, on the midday and the Playmaker poll, which is doing fantastically. Thanks to you guys in the crowdsourcing of that futures trade. Always giving a shout out to our boy Brandon. And at the desk, Derek, keep us abreast of all the news. But you know what? You got a treat. Because joining Adara and Sean, you're going to have Chris Brecher coming on back on a Friday to get your questions ready. Always fun to have his expert opinion in there. Let's go. You got the market recap. You don't have to do anything except sit back, relax, and head over there.
Not even ready yet. Okay, welcome everybody to the show. This is your recap show. Am I live? Yes, I am. All right, pretty good day today overall. I mean, obviously there was some great trades to be had. We had some top ticks there in Rigetti. We had a great trade. You were just talking about Tesla making the move to the downside, but it was a day where you were looking short, right? I mean, obviously, you come in here with red, which kind of started that whole thing, and that's kind of a joke around here, but it looks like it's true one more time. And I think that what you have to do is sometimes be a little cautious of zooming back out. Tesla's still up here. I just have Tesla up just because, but on the daily chart, we do fade back in a little bit, down 1.4% there for Tesla. Let me just get a 1 minute chart up here just to see. Let's go 3 minutes. So there's the bleed that we talked about. Was a good day for Tesla. I can show you my trades, but hey, overall, we lost that 415 area. Nice downside push there for TSLA. Kind of a mixed bag today. We had the FXI long, so that was a banger of a trade there earlier. But at the end of the day, we get out FXI. Nice move there on some Trump. Nice talk about China. I think that he was, the tariffs here. I feel like maybe there's more of a target on us up here in lovely Canada. And Mexico, of course. Yeah, renaming the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to be hilarious if that ever gets done as well. But we traded China again a little bit today on FXI. I do like some of those dip buy opportunities that we were able to get off the 200 period moving average if you were there. Now it's trying to break a little bit higher. Remember, when everybody's thinking one way, often the other way will turn up, right? Okay, so uranium today, a little bit of a pullback. We did have a big day yesterday, so I don't want to throw too much shade on what uranium's been doing. It's had a huge move to the upside, so a little bit of cooling off here in some of these names. I always look at SMR. SMR down 4% today. There's NNE is another name that's been really, really popular. Look at Nano Nuclear. Just continue its move higher here for NNE. When do these guys report? This would be a really interesting name to look out for here. Earnings date undisclosed here on Trade Ideas, but NNE with a nice move up. You get some movement up on the utilities as well. I just think like today, some of the sectors that have been beat up, catching a little bit of a drift higher, and then some of the names that have been on the way upside getting downside today, including, like I said, uranium here. The NASDAQ as well, cooling off period as we just hover at the highs. Nothing to really worry about there. I mean, XLE, again, another spot that's been pretty hot, trying to fade out one more time. So, I don't know, we did have some numbers earlier today. The S&P was relatively flat, though, on the day. There's XLE coming back in. Many tech tickers kept us going here in what we looked at for trading. So, individual names alone today, if we just have a quick look, Nvidia, yikes. Stop a fail on that one as we go downside on Nvidia, down that 3%, getting really close to that 50-period moving average. I'm like a buyer of tech names, and especially the king, and I call that with Nvidia. So we'll have to buy some dips here. I know a lot of you are maybe cautious on it. I just think, hey, look, we got that news from Meta earlier on in the day where it was building, what was the size of Manhattan, some sort of a data center there?
Yeah, apparently it will be like as big as Manhattan. So guys, shout out to Law and Order, set, of course, famously in Manhattan.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, you know? Yeah.
Oh, of course. So, yeah. No, I know.
I guess that's not a known fact.
No, Law and Order's in Manhattan? No,
It is?
I might have guessed. I would have guessed probably New York or Boston. Was there ever anything in Boston?
They have not had they have a Law and Order LA, And sometimes they go to Jersey, but I don't think there's, I mean, hey, Law & Order, get a Boston show. You already made the Canadian one.
Yeah, I know. Smarten up, Law and Order.
on, guys.
Okay, so just real quickly here, we didn't even get a push up in AMD as opposed to Advanced Micro Devices. We could not finish the day green on AMD, but AMD did get good note there. AI integration announcement, so that was nice for AMD. But at the end of the day, without that little rally, you were down to 122 and threatening to break even lower here on Advanced Micro Devices. We talked about yesterday, the only red ticker yesterday in the ETF space was gold. And today, despite the move down, we still do get an update for GLD. All right, man, big earnings surprises today. We had Twilio. What a good mover that was. Check out the daily on TWLO. We're islanding up here. I may ask Chris Brecher about these island trades because Twilio right now is stuck out there on one. It's okay when you're on an island, but you know, you'd like to have food and power and maybe transportation to get back off the island. Food's not that big of a deal because you teach a man to fish.
Literally.
You know,
and then he'll fish you all the fish.
Right, exactly. So that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to wheel you guys in, man, let you know what's going on. Today, we were pretty lucky to be 6-2 on the day and have a green day. So I think today we sort of showed you that fish, how to fish and where to find it. Today it was on Rigetti, man. Today the quantum names really had themselves a day. I mean, huge moves up and then the fade, right? So there goes Rigetti. Everybody yelling at me earlier on in the day, look at Rigetti, look at Rigetti, look at Rigetti. So you know what we did?
You looked at Rigetti.
We looked.
Nice.
Man, you're on one today, Adara. Man, did we look at Rigetti. And what did we wait for? We waited for this because we had missed it already. We were too obsessed. Well, not too obsessed, but we traded Tesla. We traded Nvidia. Both of those back-to-back jacks. I mean, we hit them huge. And we also had the Qs. But what we did with Rigetti was this. Pretty simple. Hey, look what we have up here right now. It's, who's over there? It's Fabian, right? Or is that Ramin? Who's over there? It's Fabian. Okay. Sometimes I can't tell because they both wear the tubes.
They both have the hats. They have the long hair.
Yeah. Anyways.
Sometimes if you're like, unless you're like really like looking hard.
Now that I see, I mean, I can see it's Fabian.
Shout
But
out.
there's Rigetti. So this is what we did, man. We waited for the bump in Rigetti to finally slow down. Now, I mean, I feel like we got a little lucky because, you know, the high spike right there in volume gives you that pullback. You know what? Let's zoom in a little bit right here, right now. So let's do Stock Blitz.
Let's do it. How does this work again?
I just made it up.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So Stock Blitz used to be when I did this show for myself by myself.
Yeah.
For you, by myself, for about 8 months or so. And then I was like, I got to take a break here. Neil started helping out. Now Dara's obviously with us here as well. But I used to do like a lightning round.
Okay.
So I would ask Bears versus Bulls in the chat. I'd be like, yo, get these guys, send me some questions or send me a stock. And they would just say Eli Lilly.
Oh,
and I would go, all right, let's go Eli Lilly. And I'd spend 10 seconds on it.
Nice. And then you go to the next
I would go
stock.
Nike and whatever these guys asked, like the stock.
Ballroom Blitz. Dude.
Ballroom Blitz. All right, I got to get the chat open right now really quickly to see how that's going. I want to thank all of you for joining us one more time here today. You could be anywhere right now on a Friday. I want to thank over 3,300 of you watching. We do have Chris Brecher. I'm going to pop out the chat right here. Normally we'll do a roll call, but here it is right here. Look at Rigetti. Yeah, man, we're looking at Rigetti. So I want to thank everybody for joining us right now as we have it there. Yeah, I think it was a little bit of an easy short as people talked about it, but easiness is where it comes from. And I just wanted to say, like, there, see this volume spike, this volume spike to the buy side, that's generally what you're looking for, and there's the pullback. So I feel like this was a decent level, but then when it breaks it, that's the look long. When it breaks a failed level for the downside. But then all of a sudden, finally we got a wick. You get a wick top right here at 930, and then that wick, I was like, Let's put on the short because the risk at this point, Adara, is defined. And whenever you have a defined risk, it makes this trade much, much easier. So when we have a defined risk, there's us getting out for 1 for 1, 2 for 1, and then let it bleed down. And I mean, mom's spaghetti. That is Rigetti.
It's funny. I was actually rewatching like that battle scene at the end of 8 Mile with my sister.
Okay.
On Wednesday, like virtually, we were watching it. That or Tuesday, whatever. That movie slaps. Shout out to 8 Mile. I was just thinking about that because it's like obviously Lose Yourself. That is its origin story. So yeah, shout out to Eminem and honestly probably one of the best rap movies ever, or at least the best I've seen.
Yeah, there was a Cuba Gooding one. I think it was with Ludacris. There was a movie there. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, is this hot? There's been a couple. Ludacris is a good actor. I've always said this.
Luda.
Luda.
Yeah, exactly. So back on that front, yeah, I was listening to Toby walking around.
Oh, nice. Yeah, shout out to
today.
Babytron.
So, yeah, shout out to Babytron. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was Rigetti there today. All right, let's just keep on going, guys. Tesla v. Nvidia. All right, so Nvidia, nice downside push. Neil mentioned it earlier, which was a good point. Apple's getting close to the 50-period moving average, but so is this, my friend, Nvidia. But the thing about it is, everything is not alike. When you're looking at a stock like Nvidia, the 50-period moving average right here has meant absolutely nothing. So why am I going to think it's going to mean something here before? Like if I bid this rate here, all right, I'm long at the 50 period. Good for me. It goes all the way down into 130 again. So that wasn't a good long until now when you look back at it.
Yeah.
So I don't think I want to sit here. I want to sit here. So we're going to sit around 130 and see if we can catch a little bit of a dip buy opportunity there in Nvidia. And then Tesla is exciting down near that 380 marker. I think that there could be a hold there. I like to buy that. So let's go over to a stock that me and you had some fun with here today, Texas Instruments. So they missed. We talked about this yesterday. You and I are going back to back here. We did the show yesterday. We're doing it again today. This little hold of 185, like
it bounces there.
Yeah, I mean, did it? I didn't even look at.
It actually did. I was looking at this intraday.
Did it bounce intraday off that level?
Just above
Okay, so bounces there, kind of closes back in at that level. I never really like a name that closes on its lows.
That makes sense.
Especially a name that had news and that was trying to battle back and never got above its 200-period moving average.
A fair
So
point.
the trend still continues to the downside. So we will look to see what happens here. Yeah, I got Ludacris. I still so tomorrow there's a hockey game, and I told you I played Baby by Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I did karaoke to Baby by Justin Bieber. Like literally, I was telling Fabian like last weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What song?
Baby by Justin Bieber.
Oh, that actual song.
Yeah.
I thought you said you did Justin Bieber.
No. Baby is the only song of his I would even remotely attempt.
And you probably don't even need to see the words.
I don't, actually.
Right.
I performed it. Like, I remember I performed the Luda rap when I was a kid. We were like 11 at our concert. I played the piano. Then I stepped up for the rap, and all of these like moms were like, what is happening?
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me that that you knew all the words to that Luda part. So that's why I came up, because we were just talking about Luda.
Yeah, it's fair.
Okay, so yeah, Texas Instruments with not a great report coming through today. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, but at the end of the day, it does make that move down for Texas Instruments. So again, Twilio, a nice move to the upside today on surprise, better than expected earnings and a guide forward. The problem is Texas Instruments guides in the middle of the range. We want to see beats all around. So we're going to get ready to bring on Chris Bretsch. We'll talk to him about the Qs. He wants to talk about some sort of condors happening there on the SPY. So we're going to have a quick look at that. And then we want to give a big shout out. Bears versus Bulls not with us here today. Our thoughts are with you, Bears, and we'll get an update on him into next week. So Adara, when we take some questions, me and you are going to have to try to pay attention to the chat.
We got this.
Okay, so we're going to look in the chat to see if there is anything there that you guys want to talk about. All right, so that's Texas Instruments. Another name that was going upside today, well, it went upside at the end of the day, but it still is relatively flat on the day, but still down that 1.74% is American Express. So we'll have to wait out for Visa and MasterCard, but for right now, American Express, nice move into the close. See, this is the opposite of Texas Instruments. American Express tries to get going there into the close, but fails. Look for continuation play off of these lows then. If you don't break the lows on earnings and you actually hold, especially this bottom right here, 312 or so, I like American Express trying to hold that bottom. Let's have a quick look at the daily chart for AXP. I mean, look, it had a lot of room to the downside, and it rejected. So that little wick, that's that 314 that we're talking about. So let's see what happens with American Express. Not closing green on the day, but really filling that candle back up. These wicks are real. Let's see if American Express can hold that 312, 314. And as you can see as well, it might have been set up for disappointment. I don't love stocks that take off like this heading into earnings. I'd rather buy a stock that I like down here, like a Netflix, Palantir's now off, but stocks that hit some levels ahead of earnings, let's see them bounce and hold and then go up. The minute you bounce and take off and then report up here, the expectations are just so lofty for that. So we'll have to wait to see what happens now with American Express. The other name in the play here, MasterCard. Look at this, see? Right near that top. Like, I would like this to be a little bit, again, you obviously want to buy everything down there. This looks a little bit better to me. And the other name would be Visa. No. So this is an example. When does Visa report? There it is, January 30th. So we have a week yesterday for Visa. If you're still up here, it makes me a little nervous about earnings because you've just had such like a 10% move here in about a week and a half on Visa. So, okay, I think we're ready to go. We've been excited for this. We welcomed Chris back, took a little bit of time off. We brought him back last week. We had some great responses. And now, Iron Condor selling in the SPX. Let's go figure out what Chris is talking about and bring him on. It's Chris Brecher, it's Trader Talk. Oh boy, Chris, how are you doing today? It is Friday, a pretty exhausting week for us. How are you doing?
Fine. Hope you like my office redo. Behind me is the IBM pit, and that orange coat is me. So
Where?
I've been in the same spot for 8 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we've never seen that before. Did you just get that framed?
No, actually, when they did a long time ago, they did the yearbook or calendar for the CBOE. I said, can I have the negative? I want to blow it up. So I blew it up 4 feet by 6 feet, and I've carried it with me ever since.
Oh man, that's so amazing. I had a friend of ours that works for ICE also was a pit trader, and he was showing me his card. I guess the ID that you sort of had to scan in or something every time you walked in, or your little ID card. Hilarious, great. I love those moments. Very special to be able to have that. So maybe why don't we go over that? So you started trading. It wasn't oil with you. Was it copper?
No, basically, it's a long story, but I started with a boiler room. And the people, like the thing you read about Wolf of Wall Street, a lot of that's true because I was there. And so I did that for a year, and everybody in there was doing terrible, touting penny stocks. Yeah. And so they started taking shots in options, and they were all losing. I'm like, who's the house? Yeah. So I just took a really low-paying job to be a clerk on the CBOE, and that's where I learned.
Okay, awesome, really man. Cool. That's awesome. So a clerk rather than a trader. So that's awesome. I like that, man. Work for the casino. I think House always wins on that one. But what a great photo. What great memories there, Chris. So thank you for that. All right, look, you're a much smarter options guy, obviously, than me. You mentioned to me here, the big Iron Condor selling in the SPX the last 3 days hasn't really been working out. So why don't we talk about that? If you have some examples, I know there's a lot of traders. And again, Chris is a big follow on StockTwits. Go over there, have a look, Google up Chris Brecher, and you can go find this guy all over StockTwits. So let's talk a little bit about this Iron Condor and feel comfortable sharing your screen as well.
All right, and just to let you know, and it sounds ugly, but you got to understand on the floor, it was really ruthless. And can you see my screen? I'm not sure if it worked.
Yep, it's good.
If it works.
We're good to go, Chris.
There.
Yep, we see you.
So what I mean by ruthless is you sort of knew on the floor who was cold, and you tried to take advantage of that. I mean, this is a long time ago. I've mellowed out since then. So we're always looking for the dumb money. And so this Iron Condor seller has been wrong every day. And I mean, we're talking about big, like 50,000 contracts. So what they've been doing is selling an out of the money call spread and an out of the money put spread. So what's been happening is it's a 5-point wide one. So the most they can make, it seems like they're selling it at $2. The most they can lose is $3. But 50,000 is $1.5 million. So the last 3 days, the one day they lost $1.5 million. Yesterday, supposedly they lost more than $4 million.
Ouch.
So today they had this one on. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah,
I wish I could make it bigger. But you see the open interest right here?
Explain it, Chris. There we go. We made it bigger. We're good to go now, Chris. Don't worry about it.
Hey.
We zoomed in.
So basically, they were selling an out-of-the-money put spread and out-of-the-money call spread. Well, every day they've gotten host on the call spread, and I'll show you what we're talking about. This is yesterday. So yesterday they were short. I mean, it's pretty ugly to see if you were in it. I mean, if you were the opposite, great. They were short the 610, 615 call spread, 50,000. It was worthless with about 9 minutes left. It went out, it rallied 15 points, the SPX, actually more. So they lost over $4 million. So
Ouch.
the whole idea is they did it the day before and the same kind of thing happened and they lost money. So they tried even bigger yesterday and they really lost. So they did it even bigger today. So the key is, you might say, well, how'd you know it wasn't going to go up? Well, we were playing to the lower strike, figuring that every day he, she, or it, because maybe it's an AI program or something, was betting on that, oh, the markets would go up. And we were thinking that he would get hosed at 60.90. So we kept playing towards 60.90. Doesn't mean it's going to 60.90, but it means that once it's up here, he's probably trying to hedge to not lose too much. So it went right to his drive. I'm sure he probably panicked. And then it went up. But we played that move. But we also combined that a lot of the indexes were selling off. Right. So when we watch Tesla sell off, and I'm not saying I'm bullish, bearish Tesla whatsoever. I'm just using it as a tell. So when that was acting poorly, that's a 15-minute, and Apple was acting poorly, we're like, this is more likely to go down than up, the SPX. So that's why we were playing to the lower strike.
You know what? Look, you're getting a lot of love in the chat here, especially from our good friend Chef Joe. Said he noticed that as well, and he's glad that you're a little bit explaining it there for all of us as well. All right, look, there's something called the Brecher Ledge. Have you heard of that before?
Like we kidded on Stock Twitch, somebody said, do you know, coincidentally, it has the same last name as you?
Exactly.
So, you know that one. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was great. I wanted to bring it up to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I actually was bringing that up because a name that you just dropped there, Apple, it's on a lot of people's minds right now with report coming next Thursday. There's so many names coming next week. I look at this. Does this qualify as sort of like a little bit of a Brecher ledge here? I mean, I think we can go back to September 17th where we have this low of 216. We also tried to battle through 215, 220 all the way back here into the summer months. And if we lose it, not only do we lose key levels here, Chris, but we also lose the 200 period moving average on a daily chart. I use this to track hey, do we even want to be in a name that is underneath such support like a 200 period moving average? And we get the Brecher ledge break here, I believe anyways, in and around 218, 219. So tell me something about Apple that I might not know, because right now I'm debating buying this, but I'm getting a little nervous because I think it's going to break.
Well, the first thing is when you have a Brecher ledge, it's usually after a sharp move down.
Okay.
But also a ledge at support is less likely to be trusted. So I'll show you real quick. Here's AMD. We were showing this morning on a 1-minute chart. There's a Brecher ledge. So you had a sell-off. You had a consolidation that was horizontal and lack of support. On the other hand, you have Apple that has all that support. But the big deal is Apple has a habit of selling off prior to earnings because they can't buy back their stock. So most of these companies 5 weeks prior to earnings don't buy back their stock voluntarily, but most of them don't. So they couldn't prop it up. So it doesn't mean it's going down, but it means bad news or a bad technical setup is more likely to knock the stock because they can't prop it up. But you'll see all these times, almost every time that Apple's sold off into earnings, not this one. That one didn't work, but this one sold off. Sold off
again, yep.
And sold off. Then they could prop it up after earnings, and every time it rallied. So the Brecher ledge doesn't work as well in Apple. It might work on a 15-minute chart when they had their buyback blackout. That's what I've seen. So it just isn't as reliable when they can prop up the stock. So that's why I'm not sure about that being a ledge, for that reason.
Thank you for going over that, Chris. I want to ask you, with earnings coming up here, are there any sectors you're looking at here on technical basis or anything that you're seeing could be of interest with earnings? Of course, we have tech. We've also got materials, variety of different sectors on watch with a variety of these earnings names coming out in the next couple weeks.
What we've been doing is looking for stocks, unusual call activity with the stocks like a Twilio that are rumored takeovers. They had an analyst meeting yesterday and already broke up. But it seems to me that I'm going to try to structure some bullish spreads in stocks that haven't really moved that much, might be takeover rumors, and even if they get hit on earnings, they might go up. In this kind of regulatory climate, suppose I've been reading a lot about law firms and hedge fund desks are getting a lot of questions about potential takeovers. So that's why I like a MongoDB, I like a Twilio. When it comes to sectors, I agree with Sean about like a Visa. Like now, don't get me wrong, we're not perfect. We lost money in Capital One because we're like, this is so overdone, but it kept going. So, I mean, you're right about the old buy on rumor, sell on news. And when you really look at American Express, I can't believe it closed near the high.
Right,
After
exactly.
that kind of move.
Exactly, Chris. I mean, great minds think alike, which is why I'm not sure why you're thinking like me, because I saw that AXP move as well, and I was impressed that it closed near the highs. All right, Chris, I messaged you earlier to come on, and I want to thank you so much on late notice for doing that. But I also told you that it was Q&A day, okay? So are you ready to rock and roll? Because I got a pretty good one, and it's about the VIX and Bollinger Bands. One of our viewers, I'm going to give you a second to load it up. Fabian, come over to the screen here. I want to get your comment on the VIX and Bollinger Bands. It's from Jay Haas, and he says, at Sean Katina, can you ask CB, CB, about his post on VIX Bollinger Bands triggering a sell signal in the SPX? So you just sort of went over some of that talk there with the condor and whatnot, and we had some of our viewers talking about also seeing that. What's going on? I only have AMD up here. I don't have the VIX up right now. But Chris, what were you talking about and what possibly triggered that sell signal on Bollinger Bands? I actually haven't heard you talk too much on this program anyways about Bollinger Bands.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's great that you asked me that question. We've been, and you're right, I posted that on StockTwits today and showed it for our clients. Basically, and it's not perfect. So it's not a sell signal yet, it's a warning signal. But usually when the VIX gets near its lower Bollinger Band and then closes above it, it's a sell signal for the SPX, just like the opposite. It was a buy signal for the SPX. So when you see it up here, it's usually a buy signal for the SPX and vice versa. Now, one thing that's really interesting is if the Bollinger Bands are like going way up or way down, it can ride it on the top, like you see here for a while. It's when it flattens, and now it's flattening. So if you get that one little twerk under it on the bottom here and then back over it, yeah, that'll be a sell signal for the SPX.
What I also saw a post that you made, Chris, about BBAI, which is Big Bear AI. I think we talked about it maybe last week. What? No, I'm only talking about it because, again, it's one of those names that who knows where this is going to go. But you had mentioned maybe a signal.
It's a nemesis. That's why I smirk.
Oh, okay.
I keep missing it around $3, but we were in at like a 2.
That's what I wanted to ask.
240. We thought we were geniuses on its way to 4.
Yeah.
But the reason, well, number one, I want to digress. This VIX also works with a lot of VIX products like Apple. Believe it or not, like VX, Goldman Sachs has a VIX and a Bollinger Band.
Right.
So when that hits the lower Bollinger Band, a lot of times that's a sell on Goldman Sachs and vice versa. It's really wild. It works with individual stocks.
So let me ask you about that, because do you just keep, like, is this just all up here, or do you have a journal where you just put down, okay, Goldman, look for these signals, Apple, look for those signals, or do you just sort of, whatever comes up on your screener, you look at it, and then all those calculations start to pop in there, and then we go for it? How do you look at those things? Like, you just nailed Goldman Sachs right there, and you're like, typically this is what happens. Is that with you just studying charts, or is this something where you have like a little notebook of plays based on specific setups for individual names?
Usually I'll just go through like VX, Apple. It's VX, and it's not just APL. Then you got to go to this esoteric thing. And this is what we were talking about, that when it's the Bollinger Band sloping up, it's more an art, not a science. So actually right here, you did have a little rally in Apple, but this Bollinger Band is just so sharp. So you'd rather have more of a leveling. But in answer to your question, there aren't that many that have VIX things. You have Goldman Sachs, you have Apple, you have Amazon.
Okay.
And you combine it with charts, but yeah, you got to have this just as in your hip pocket of the VIX ones, just to have that. And I don't look at it all the time, but when you look at, I think Google has one. Yeah. I'll have it in the back of my mind, but look at that. You know, Google's gone nuts, and look at that. It just doesn't look bad yet.
No, exactly. You know what? I was actually going to ask you about a big cap tech name myself, because we're seeing that Google right now, the all-time high is that 202.30 or so. We're approaching that right now. But let me give you one more name before we have to go. It's like every single name we're talking about is reporting on January 30th, which is coming again next Thursday. And here's another one. It's one of the biggest and the baddest. This guy's buying yachts. He's at the presidential inauguration. He's got a new girlfriend. He's worth billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. It's Jeff Bezos, and it's Amazon. And I mean, look, I like retail. I also like the fact that AWS is in the building. We talked today about all these hyperscalers continuously spending money. We saw a dip down in Meta today, only for it to rip back up again. I think Amazon right here, and again, I don't necessarily want to buy stock that just continues to rip up into earnings, but I just really like to hold here at the 50 period, a clean hold and support of 230 past highs. What do you think about Amazon right now? Are we a little cautious heading into earnings? Or for me, I'm full speed ahead. I recently bought down here and I don't want to sell. I like this at the 200 period. It's starting to go upside. Any thoughts about Amazon heading into earnings? And then I'll let you go.
Well, you just saw it with American Express and Discover and Capital One that when they rally lately, I mean, every earnings quarter is different. We've seen that a lot of times when they rally into earnings, then they do blah into earnings no matter how good because the bar is so high. But this earnings, like Capital One and all that, they just kept going. The other thing is, if this was like a $2 stock, I like trading $2 stocks, and you saw a bull flag and a breakout, you'd be all over buying it. So I see why you do it. The only negative is how overbought it is in earnings, using a MACD. But you know what? Like you were saying, I mean, these just kept going. But what do they all have in common? They had that kind of triangle they broke out of. So Amazon doesn't look like it's reached its upside objective yet.
All right, yeah, I mean, that Capital One, again, another huge move, again, on COF. I think we might have missed that one. XLF, some of these bank stocks continue to go. I mean, we saw the bank stocks come with earnings, and then since then, XLF, which gave a really great dip buy, is all the way back to the top. And I think more deals happening this year. I really like Goldman Sachs in the space. I like Morgan Stanley in the space. Is there a financial name that you're looking to pick up in here, or one that you're long? What's your pick of the litter? Is it still Capital One?
Well, I was short Capital One after earning. I lost it. That was the only one. We've had a really good record, but that was the only one that was a turkey because we were fading that it's overdone instead of doing it with like 3 reasons.
So what I mean, Chris, do you flip long? Do you flip long when that fails? Or do you just do you flip long? So you're short, and then all of a sudden it triggers you out of your short. Does a trigger like that also flip you long, or do you just sort of sit back? And that's why I was trying to ask you for if there was any other names maybe that you liked in the financial space, because we got a question on the chat. Was there something there in financials that you liked, which is why I flipped it back to Capital One. But
yeah, the problem with the XLF and a lot of these, and let me just tell you, you could put next to here BBAI, so I could, so I'm not avoiding it, is what we're seeing, whether it's the bank stocks, whether it's BBAI. The key has been when they get oversold down here, and we can put XLF on the right because it did the same thing. Look at that, oversold, and then you buy when the next candle is higher and it's still in an uptrend. So it was over the 50, and then this candle was higher than this candle. That was your buy signal. And same thing over here on the right. If I had the 50 up here, is the XLF getting over the 50, and the next candle was higher than the one before. Amazing, totally different things, and they work the same. The reason I'm bringing it up is we've been seeing these highly trending either product or stocks that when they get too far over their 20, they have to stutter so the 20 can catch back up, whether it's XLF or BBAI. And you'll see it, like BBAI, the strongly trending stock. Every time everybody loves it up here, it came back to the 20, even here. And it overshot, that's fine. But the whole key is you don't chase it and you don't buy at the 20, you wait for the candle above it. And that's the problem with the XLF right now. Let me go to TradingView. The problem with this, in my opinion, is that it's just when it gets that far from the 20, it has a habit of reverting back to the 20. So I like it longer term, but I really would like to see this revert back to that purple line.
Look, Chris, thank you so much for going over Big Bear AI. I remember that we did mention that, and some people in the chat were doing that as well. But hey, it's 4:36 right now. The questions keep flipping in. What about if I invited you to come on one day at 2:45 while the market's still open, and then we can show you off to everybody and have a little bit more time with you, Chris? Maybe we'll organize that for one day. So there you go. For Profit in the chat wanted to know if we can get you live one day. All right, Chris, what are the plans for the weekend?
It's well, you know, I'm probably going to continue to redo The Office and do that. And besides that, not much.
What's the one most important? What's the one thing? What's the one thing that you can't go without in your office? Is it like that picture in the background? Is it like a big, like your chair, a specific desk, or you know, what about your office that makes it something unique for yourself?
No, I'm going to be corny, but probably my beagle. I let her sleep on my couch a lot. So that's probably the thing I can't do a lot without.
I love when the dogs sit on your lap. You know, I mean, there's nothing like a dog's best man is a dog's best friend. Or
no,
a dog is
mine
wait a minute, dog is a, yep.
So it's ironic because we have somebody with Simpler that has an indicator called the Moxie indicator, and my dog's name Moxie. It was just coincidence. So, but Moxie is with me like 24 hours a day.
It's like Jim Cramer naming his dog Nvidia there, I guess. And all the way to the upside, there goes Nvidia.
That's usually a sign of an intermediate top.
Yeah, it seems like that, eh? Okay, Chris, thank you so much, man. A lot of love in the chat. Everyone can go find you at Simpler Trading, the Senior Managing Director of Simpler Stocks. It's Chris Bretcher. They can find you also on StockTwits, one of the smartest guys around in the business. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a great weekend and good luck with everything. And say what's up to your furried friends back there. Oh, what about that snake? Wasn't that your son's snake or something?
No, my daughter. We have 18 snakes.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Wow. Okay. Hope we don't have any earthquakes in none of those.
She loves to bring them out and says, "Why don't you pet this 6-foot snake?" I'm like, "No, I hate snakes."
Me too. I'm the other way around. All right, Chris, we got to let you go or we'll never end this thing. Thank you, Chris Bretcher. That's go find him on StockTwits, Simpler Trader. It's Chris Bretcher.
Anytime.
All right. Those snakes, they're on the plane, man. The snakes are on the plane.
Okay. Why don't any snakes on that?
I don't know. You ever watched that movie, Snakes on a Plane?
I've seen enough clips to know I don't really need to see the whole movie.
Yeah. What was the other one where there was, no, not Snakes on a Plane, where there was Sharknado?
Yeah, oh my God, my mom loves Sharknado.
There was like six of those or something, wasn't there?
No, I think my mom has seen every Sharknado.
Oh man, I want to.
Or like at least enough to have seen more Sharknadoes than any person should see.
Yeah.
I like bad movies, but I can't do the Sharknadoes are too gory for me.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. See, you know when it's Fabian as opposed to Ramin, like that thing hits right at 4:30.
Yes. Also, Grayscale followed for a Solana ETF with a NYSE, so Solana is popping, guys.
They did.
Sorry, I just have to put that out there.
I wonder if we have a chart of that. Okay, we'll find out some more.
TradingView, I'll show you guys this up. Look.
There it is.
Boop, boop, boop.
How
Volume.
much is that? What kind of a move is that?
That's from low of 256.35. It's like 4-point move. It was 5 or 6 at the top.
All right. We'll continue to watch that. I mean, I think Rigetti's going to be hot next week again. I think the quantum space, you just nailed it right there with some of the crypto names.
Lots of earnings plays, yeah.
Earnings plays. Oh my, next week's going to be absolutely huge. Watch out for Coinbase, especially on that ETF. I mean,
MSTR too.
Yeah, more and more people are going to hit up to buy Solana coin, right? I mean, if that starts to go to the upside right there, another one of those names, smart contracts there with Solana. An Ethereum killer is what they say. All right, look, what a great day. Thank you, Fabian, Neil, Brendan, Joe, Sharif, Adara, Ramin, Andre, Tomasz, the guy from Hungary. I don't know the other guy's name. Thank you to Wayne. Thank you to Obi. Everybody that's here. Brankles, I think I saw here today as well. I did see him here today as well. Thanks, Bears versus Bulls. Thoughts with you. We'll catch you hopefully on Monday as well. But most importantly, thank to everybody who's watching here again today. Thank you for staying late with us. We're going to be back at 8:30. We have to obviously shout out our good friend CB, Chris Brecher.
Shout out to Chris Brecher.
Simpler Trading. So go check him out as well. Chris Brecher, thank you so much on Stock Twits as well. All right, potato.
French fry pommes frites.
All right, we'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.
See y'all.